Welcome into Extreme Talk, presented by GracePointe Healthcare. GracePointeHealthcare.com. New patient office visit requested online gives you $20 off. GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. Mention 8-Man Extreme to get that discount. Also fueled by Fairlife Core Power Protein. Financially supported in part by First Horizon. Sponsored by Crumble Cookies. And sponsored by Iceberg Plumbing, Heating, Cooling. You know what? We're going to go with the full theme. Final show. We're going to go with the full theme. Just enjoy the song. I don't even think I've heard this thing fully through. Yeah. So we got about 60 seconds until it queues up. But yeah, you said you only 30 seconds?
Yeah, like the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
YouTube's got some bangers.
Yeah, this is on the royalty-free music and everything. So not too bad. What you think, Brendan?
Yeah,
it's a good track?
Yeah.
Pretty solid. It's not
Somebody could drop some bars.
What artist would you put this on?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good question. Who's someone that uses instrumental like this,
I don't know.
but has an upbeat pace? Like
Meek
it's
Mill.
not really an NF, huh?
Meek Mill.
Yeah. I was gonna say NF, but NF's is a little bit slower
Yeah.
You can
at times.
You can do like an Eminem combination with somebody too.
There you go.
Eminem, yeah. Not
That
too
would work.
Got about 10 seconds until the intro song we've been using for the year is completed.
How's
We head
everybody's
into-
fantasy doing? Let's go ahead and get that out the way.
out of the way. You want to get fantasy done? We'll get fantasy done
You'll bring it?
as James breaks the
Oh,
fourth
that's
wall.
Spencer. My
Just
bad.
want to say welcome to everyone watching or listening around the world. I just noticed I'm breaking the fourth wall here. The camera's crooked. Just noticed that on the main camera.
I
Oh, well,
said it was crooked yesterday.
well.
It's crooked.
Oh, well.
Wasn't crooked yesterday.
Oh, well, it happens. Welcome to everyone watching and listening around the world. Spencer Thompson, Brenda Daniel, James Shannon, Audrey Green running the show. Motion sickness may cue in it a little bit with this camera rotating, but you know what? It's for the proper angles. It's for the proper angles as we have the finale of the 2020. Okay, you could stop breaking the fourth wall now, James. You
I'm
can stop
looking at the
looking at it.
camera.
I know you're looking at it.
I'm
She's
watching
got
you
it.
get-
She's got it. We trust our director.
Shout out producer Audrey.
Producer and director Audrey. Everything. Yep. We'll get more into that. Yeah, it looks balanced to me.
I'm like 30 seconds behind,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at the. That's wow.
yeah. Now he recognized it.
There it is.
Now he recognizes it. But you know,
Let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room,
what's that?
and it's not these spectacular hats.
No, those are the elephant in the room.
Yes, I did not get busted in the lip. Good old cold sore. So there you go. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
Well, yeah, James decided to get into a fight, with somebody who said his takes were garbage, and then it resulted in a cut there. Well, actually,
Through
no.
hands.
No, he said to him, he's like, whether you love me or you hate me, you're still thinking about me.
me.
Yeah, and so
He said, "Well, you'll be thinking about this." Nah.
Oh goodness.
That's all
Oh goodness. But final show of 2021. All of the games around the 8-man football world are done for this year, other than the All-American game in Gatlinburg in a few weeks' time, which we'll of course be at. But we got to get you caught up and recapped on all of the action that occurred from this past week. And it's hard to. It's really weird to think that we're now at the finish line. That we're legitimately at the finish line. It feels weird.
20 shows. This is show number 20.
Show number.
This year, this
Extreme
season.
Talk. Oh, 20. Yeah, 20
shows and 31 games.
And that started back in July.
Over 3.5 months.
July, August, September, October, November.
4.5 months.
Something like
It's been a long time. It's been a long.
I'd give it 5 months, technically, because we started like a week
That's
after the
fair.
4th of July, and then we're pretty much in the last full week of Thanksgiving or something like that. But
Somebody said literally fighting TSIAA.
no. But
Listen, I come in at a solid 6'1", 340. So you don't have to bring some weight to that bout. Maybe it's something Triller could put together.
goodness,
Oh,
but.
God.
It's hard to think we're at the finish line. It's been a long grind. I remember it just feels like yesterday we just met in this same conference room with the orientation with you and Audrey, and FaceTimed with Matthew Cruz here, and then talked of course with you as you came in late as usual. But it's been a long season. It's been very awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm on time every week.
No, we tell you 2 o'clock every show,
week.
and you've decided your on time is at 3 o'clock.
Brother, you've never been. You've been on time a few times.
That's
We'll
fair.
give him credit.
That's
He's
Yeah,
been
Shout out to James Shannon for the few times he's been on time. The few times he's been on time.
times.
Couple times. But all right. Well, let's go ahead and get you recapped. And 7 days ago, we were in Florida for the national championships with that live show. That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Really awesome. And
Big
it felt,
crowd.
you know,
started late. Started slow.
yeah, 2019 had a decent crowd when we did that first live show with Esau Harding and Evangel.
Yeah.
2020 was just as good. And then, of course, with our first video camera show doing that, other than the YouTube live stream issues that cut out the connection and only published a 27-minute video. But at least in terms of the in-studio audience, it was very special.
Completely missed the whole bedlam of handing out the samples. Missed
Yep.
the interview with Coach Smith and Harris Black, and then
As
Josh
well as-
Butler and Raymond Hunt.
Yep.
Missed the whole second half of the show, which was the best part of the show.
Yeah, not unfortunate, but we the memories that we have in our mind count, especially for the memories of all of those who were attending in person. We had, I think, 3 Freedom Cowboys fans who were there the entire time. They were sitting almost the entire time until
Everybody went.
Yeah, they all just split, and we had one person left in and everything. But it was a good show. But then we got into Monday's action with 4 games. We start out with the consolation game for Division II. Before we get into the actual game, shout-outs are going to be later in the show, but I do want to acknowledge that we were bringing the equipment up to the press box. We got on site, I think, about 8.
About 8:30.
It was 8:30,
Yeah.
8:45,
Somewhere there.
and we start moving up the equipment, and the coaching staff for Westminster Christian said, "Hey, can you guys come over here for a second?" And we were like, "Oh, all right." So we all get over there, and Coach had mentioned, we have our families and everyone watching the game back home. Our school is literally stopping classes to watch the game as a school together. So as we usually do when we thank people, we give 2 claps. And there are 3. Sorry, 3 claps. I couldn't 3 claps, and they did that to start off our day. That was for me.
I was about to say, you can tell this guy didn't play football.
For me, that was a really good start.
was really
not
cool.
just to the broadcast day, but in our first impression of Westminster Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a first impression the day Saturday with their first game and such, and you talked a little bit with their coach and everything, but really good impression of Westminster Christian. I'm sure that in 2022 you'll definitely look into covering their team in some capacity, but.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they stay 8-man.
Yeah, it's staying 8.
Might have to
8-man. Yeah.
go visit the Cajun State.
That's been built up pretty highly, and maybe we'll be able to go visit them in 2022. But in terms of the game itself, best game we had all day. Closest game we had all day without that action.
It set the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say the second one was close. We didn't get to finish. If that game would have finished, I think it would have been a rival. But with it not finishing, the first game for sure.
And we'll of course talk about that once we get into the second game. But final score 53-52. The Tennessee Heat escape with a 1-point victory in the consolation game.
Right.
And for all of the injuries, and all of the factors going against the Tennessee Heat this season, it has to feel nice for Coach Scott, for the rest of those players to get a win, especially considering last year where their journey in Florida abruptly ended due to a COVID outbreak among Southern Prep. But for the Tennessee Heat to have that game, even with the disappointment of losing to Southern Prep in the semifinal on Saturday, for them to finish out in Florida with a victory, it definitely has to feel special. And you think about as well with the injuries to Carter Sutton and the rest of the injuries that the Tennessee Heat were riddled with, James. It's a great way for the Tennessee Heat to end their 2021 campaign.
It was really a win-win situation because Westminster not having any seniors, they didn't have to end their high school career with that as their last memory. Their last game was not getting the 2-point conversion. Conversely, the Tennessee Heat having seniors, they got to go out on top with a win, even if it was in a Division II consolation game. They got to go out with a win, and a close win at that. So it was really a win-win for both. I mean, you hate the Westminster loss with the way they played. Somebody had to lose that game, and unfortunately it was Westminster. But, it was all around. That was how you set the tone for that day. And I, the first game of the day doing that, from there it's either going to be better or it's all going to be downhill from there. But it was a fun game to call. There you don't get to call many games like that. You call a lot of blowouts. We've called a lot of blowouts this year. It was fun to get to call a game like that.
I think just James and I.
You got one on Saturday. I got one on Monday.
We jointly in July we lay out the regular season schedule for covering each of the teams at least once and trying to get the best storylines and the best games involved. I think our picker is damaged after this year. Now, we got to have some good interactions with coaches and players and everything, but in terms of high-quality games, we'll have to look back at the scoreline. I want to say 4 or 5 of the games we called in regular season.
Let's look.
Yeah, 4 or 5 of the games in the regular season that we called were not blowouts, something like that. While James is looking that up, Brendan, what impressed you the most from this first contest on Monday?
Man, what was that? B Stomps? I want to say it right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Brock Stomps.
Brock Stomps.
Brock Stomps, man. Whew. Kid is going to be a legend.
Shout out.
In Louisiana, bro. Like, he's going to be a legendary quarterback soon. He impressed me the most. He was injured. He had a back injury, bro.
Yeah,
like, do you know how hard that is as a quarterback to just go back in and throw the bombs that he was throwing?
Mm-hmm.
And then just everybody else playing, like Rashard and
Gula.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You more.
I got
You're
you.
better at the name.
I had to call him multiple
Yeah, call
times.
him, yeah.
I was just in there like amazed by this young team. It's just it'll be exciting to see them next year. Rather they do 8-man or 11. Like if we can come see you guys, I would love to. And hey, all you students out there, you're welcome.
Don't forget Gabe Guillory. Don't forget 84. Especially because I was producing for both of you during that contest, or you actually had Hagen Joyner calling calling one of the games with you.
Yeah, Grace Ezekiel.
Yeah, he was calling that game, but it's for helping produce for you. And Guillory was the name. I just remember calling, say 84 with the carry, 84 with the carrier, 84 with the tackle, 84 with this and that and this and that. He's a junior. Next year is a senior.
Yeah.
He's going to be incredibly impressive. But, you mentioned as well, like guys like Rashard and Gula, and, of course, Brock Stomps as a freshman being the star that he was.
That was a cool freshman-on-freshman matchup, him and Luke Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
Just going head-to-head.
And shout out to Tennessee Heat finally getting it together
go.
and, like, playing all through the game. If
Oh,
you could have
yeah.
done that
Special
all
teams.
year, if they could have done that all year,
Mhm.
you guys probably have a better record.
How about the heads-up play on the kickoff, too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where they kicked it, and then it was like,
Hold on.
they kind of let it go. Martinez just...
No, yeah, he knew.
Hold on, because we've seen this multiple times. Audrey, you know what to do. Come on.
There
Come
you go. You're good.
Hold on.
He's just a backwards cap and everything.
Coach mode real quick.
Oh,
Hold on.
boy.
So,
Coach Brendan Daniel. Coach talk
when
with
you
Brendan
do
Daniel.
kickoffs, okay, whatever, I don't care where you are on the field as the return team, you follow the ball.
Not the ball.
The
The
people,
ball.
listen, the people in front, you're supposed to block. Everybody else, find the ball. Go to it, pick it up. I've seen too many teams do this. God, I'm just sitting there like, fam, go to the ball. Get it. You really going to let this guy?
It's kind of like the what did he say? What did he do?
What did he do? What did he
So,
say?
so on the season, talking about games, so you had the South Haven Zion that was 30-18.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next closest, of course, you had the Gracie's Evangel that got out of hand, but it was close for the majority of the game. You had, let's see, what other ones were close? I'm not seeing a whole lot of them. Easel Harding CCS was interesting for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
Calhoun Southern Prep.
That one, yeah.
That was probably the best regular season game.
Yeah. Had so much drama in that game, just from the all sides of the ball and that. But yeah, I think we maybe had 4 or 5 total, at least in terms of the regular season. When we got to the playoffs, there were some one-side games, or at least the postseason.
Yeah, Calhoun County Southern Prep was the closest regular season game we had.
Yeah. So we had probably about 4 or 5 on those, but no, good performance by the Tennessee Heat. Congratulations to them on finishing their season with a victory in Panama City Beach, and for the Westminster Christian. The Chargers take a loss, unfortunately, to finish the campaign for 2021, but future looks bright as they head into
they'll be back.
2022.
Mr. Stones will be back.
Okay, we get into the next game of the day, the consolation game for the Division I bracket between the Golden Eagles of Grace Baptist and the Knights of Ezekiel Academy. So we have no official statement from Ezekiel Academy on the matter, but we'll read off the statement given by the Grace Golden Eagles athletics page. It was a disappointing end to our final football game today as it was stopped near the end of the third quarter. Due to several unsportsmanlike actions by both teams resulting in penalties, coaches made a mutual decision that the game should not continue. The official result was a no contest. Our coaching staff is dedicated to teaching and guiding our young men through high-stress situations, and we are thankful for growth of character in the midst of difficulty. And again, we don't have an official statement from Ezekiel Academy on the situation, but we reviewed the film. Shout out to BP1 Sportsnet on getting the getting part of the angle on it, as well as shout out to Jerry Jr.
Junior actually had the
he
best.
had the best angle.
He was like really close.
Yeah, but
shout out
to both Jerry Jr. and to BP1 for getting those multiple angles, so we piece things together. So, James, I will allow you, since you study film so extensively, so in depth, I will allow you to break down for us what did you see, not just from the top angle in the booth, but from reviewing that footage. What did you see from there? What were your raw reactions?
My raw reaction right off the bat in the game was like, I mean, it had been a chippy game up until that point, and there had been a couple chippy games. Grace Evangel on Saturday had been somewhat chippy. So whenever I saw everything going down Monday, I said, okay. In my head, I'm like, okay, this will blow over. They'll toss a couple kids out, whatever. And then it continued to escalate. And you had coaches going up to players, and you had players coming off sidelines, and just it blew out of proportion. It was a really bad look for I would say, everybody involved. If you watch the film, Corey Murphy is carrying the ball. He gets tackled by number 3, Mason Long. And on the rollover, there was a tackle, and then as Long rolls over to get back up, here's how I'll word it. You can perceive that he was trying to twist and to roll the ankle of 7. Again, I'm not in his head. I'm not a coach. I'm not going to say 100% sure he was. I'm going to say from my point of view, and it might be wrong. So it looks like he went to go roll his ankle. Brennan's watched it as well. Having played ball, you see these things. So he twists the ankle, and then Murphy gives him, it almost looks like he gives him just a little kick. Just a little donkey kick. Just, get off me, man. And then you have number 11, Cole Mason, come over and shove Corey Murphy, push him down a little bit. And then from there, it was just a back and forth, guys locking up with each other. You did have a Grace coach come off the sideline and go straight to an Ezekiel player, get it right up in his face. You had a couple Ezekiel players come off the sideline. You had some Ezekiel coaches come off the sideline and come up and try to help handle the situation, sort it out. So it was a mess. The officials were wanting to review film. And you got to think, with both these teams, Grace has already won their state championship, their conference championship. Ezekiel's done the same. So when neither one of them went on Saturday, A, it's a really disappointing end of their season. B, to them, they have nothing left to prove. I mean, it'd be cool to get to play the other state champion. But, I mean, it's a consolation game. Nothing's going to come of it. Everybody would rather go. I guarantee you both of these coaches were having to beg. If they didn't want to be at that game, they were having to beg their kids to be at that game. Absolutely beg. So, where was I at? So they got to the middle. The coaches, they were trying to sort it out. The officials want to look at film to try to figure out who to toss out. They said they were going to toss out 4 Ezekiel players and 2 Grace players, is my understanding.
I believe the coach.
And I believe the coach, the coach from Grace. And at that point, the coaches just agreed to no contest it and just go ahead and shake hands and head their several ways and just end the game there. So a disappointing end to that game that I think if it would have played out, been fantastic. I think it would have been a great game.
Yeah.
So that's after watching the film, watching 2 different field angles, because you can watch it from up top and you see a little bit, but when you get that field angle, both cameras were on this right sideline, aimed at the play. and you can see it happen. It's pretty obvious, pretty evident. But a little bit of a scrum. Like I said, it was a chippy. The game had been somewhat chippy. There was a game on Saturday, Grace Evangel, that got chippy. Matter of fact, the officials had to pull everybody to the middle of the field like third quarter and have a conference between all the players on the field and just have them shake hands and try to sort it out and calm it down a little bit. So I'm not going to point fingers as to who is to fault in all these situations. I'm just going to say it was unfortunate and it was a bad look. So hopefully going forward, I don't know if these schools decide they don't want to go to the tournament anymore. I don't know if the tournament NHSA says, hey, we don't want them there. I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no either way. I'm just saying that it's a possibility that it could happen. But pretty wild. I think that was probably the wildest ending. I've never seen a game called in the middle of the game. Trying to think back.
I don't think
I've never seen a game
in terms of.
I've seen a game called with like a few seconds left, like the Lighthouse FCA Championship.
Yeah, where
2014, where it was the Lighthouse was trying. Yeah, Lighthouse was in victory formation, and FCA had guys crashing in and hitting guys in the middle trying to take a nil down.
Yeah,
so,
and the ref called the game over
with a few seconds left though. Like I've never seen it called in the middle of the game.
Yeah. Like in terms of on-field action, yeah, because obviously we've had weather delays or suspensions, those kind of things. But yeah, it's a first for everything, I guess. It's first for everything. But Brendan, you weren't calling the game. Of course, James joined along. How about a first game in the broadcast booth for Hagen Joyner?
He
was really good.
He crushed it.
He
man.
crushed it. He was very good.
Listen, Coach Joyner, if you decide you don't want to coach.
No, he's doing it.
I need somebody. We need people to broadcast Alabama 8-man football to keep us from getting back at 2:00 in the morning on a regular basis. So, if you would like to handle that, I'm just kidding. There's a couple people in Alabama that I would give my left arm to get in the broadcast booth.
He's just having the time of his life being the offensive coordinator for Evangel, though. So it'll be a while.
And then he got to coach the Blue Lightning and the D2.
Got to lead them to a D2 championship.
Go 2-0, win that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I know he's not going to leave coaching anytime soon. But if you do.
But good stuff from Coach Joyner. But, Brendan, you weren't calling the game. You were resting your voice and at least operating camera and such.
Yeah.
Your perspective on what you saw when all of that went down.
Man, okay, as a defensive player, you automatically know tackle the guy, then just let him go, crawl out, do whatever you do just to get away from the player. That was a dirty play. I don't care what anybody says. It looks dirty. It was dirty. But other than that, you have to think for your team, man. Regardless of what the game is, whether it's a consolation game, championship game, regular season, preseason, it doesn't matter. You think about your team always. You don't think about you. You don't get mad. If it escalates like that, you go to your sideline. Your coach should tell you, leave it to the pads, not your hands. That's the whole part of the game. We get to hit and not get in trouble. We're not UFC fighters. We're football players. We're not out here to kill these people. We're out here to win these games and become men.
That's why
better, guys.
That's why when you throw punches, you're gone.
Anything like that, it results in an immediate ejection.
I would be super remiss. It's been a long week, and so that's why I didn't mention this. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the game that Mr. Aiden Luchtefeld had on Monday against Westminster.
Yeah, I saw the comment. I thought you were going to acknowledge
it. And it was 100% accurate.
Yeah, Luchtefeld was incredible, yeah. Aiden Luchtefeld was incredible.
On Monday with Westminster, all over the place. Like, ridiculous. And he's only a junior. Dude needs to come back for senior year.
Hopefully
for sure.
He will. Hopefully he will. But in terms of the no contest, of course, it's an unfortunate situation all around. I was producing the top from my perspective. It's again, I'd never seen that from 5 seasons of doing this and being around the 8-man football scene for several years. Again, you see games start to get chippy, and maybe there's an ejection or something. Most of the time, it's just the referee going up to him and saying, "Hey, let's tone it back. Let's calm it down here. There's no need to get over the top." But a lot of interesting questions to think about. Do either teams decide to go back to Florida? Does the NHSA say we don't want you back? A lot of interesting things to think about. And I know there was some talking about the coach who stormed the field against one of the players. It's a lot of questions around that too. But it's Tough situation.
I don't think the situation is reflective of either school. Or
No.
team. It's just a bad look. It's just like the check and official situation earlier this year with FCA.
Yep.
It's not reflective of the whole school. The whole school does not feel like that.
No.
It's just a bad look. It's a really bad look. And the whole school and the whole program, neither one of these is responsible for what happened. I think there's specific individuals and specific people that are responsible for that. And hopefully that'll be addressed. Because it needs to be.
Just leave it on the field, fellas.
That's exactly.
Yeah. They, of course, left it on the field with a.
And coaches do better. Be better.
They left it.
I'm sorry, Smith.
You could.
You guys are great. Like, every coach we met, or every coach I met Saturday, it's just nothing but great. So, come on, guys. Do better. Leave it on the field. Let's play ball.
Yep.
We love to do it.
100%.
Hopefully, it's the last instance of something like this. Not just from Ezekiel or Grace, but from any team. Let's hope that never happens, whether it's in Florida or a regular season game or a playoff or anything. We just hope that it doesn't happen again. But no contest was ruled in that Division I consolation game. But for the Division II championship, that apparently did not have a trophy associated with it. At least from what we were told, there was no trophy given to the Evangel Blue Lightning on this, but they definitely deserved one. 42-20, they got the victory over the Southern Prep Academy Fighting Rangers. And you look at the dominant performance that Southern Prep had against the Tennessee Heat, them going into this Blue Lightning game, it was going to be a challenge because the Evangel Lightning, their JV team, won state championship, the state region championship down in Alabama, so you knew it was going to be a tough competition coming in, but it just looked like Wolf got shut down. It looked like this offense just couldn't get anything going, and it's a testament to this defensive secondary for Evangel, no matter what level. And I was telling Coach Smith this. The future looks bright every time you see the youth of the Evangel Lightning coming in and such. When we saw that first semifinal game they had against Westminster Christian, you could tell how bright the future is going to be, and even this for them to win a Division II championship and the either region or state junior varsity championship, something special for the Evangel Lightning to look forward to. And at the helm of their offensive coordinator, Hagen Joyner.
It's an embarrassment of riches, really. I mean, it really is. I mean, you look at it, you go from Tyler Henderson to Jet Lodge to Eli Whitfield, and now you've got Will Welch sitting there waiting. I mean, good night in the morning. Bless you.
Yeah, gazoon time.
I mean, just good. Just it's ridiculous. And the fact that you had seniors on that Blue Lightning team that don't really get to see the field a whole lot with the regular varsity team, they got to play on that Blue Lightning team and really show up. JT Roden, who was the other one? There was another guy. Crap.
James has slept a lot over the last few days.
Well, no, I haven't slept a lot.
All right,
that's not the problem. Problem is that I have not slept.
He's not slept over the last 7 days because of everything that's been going on.
It's been a long 7 days.
Yeah, no, it has, and it just continues to keep going as we get into the holiday season and everything. But as he looks things up, Division II championship. You and I were on call for that, Brendan, and what impressed me the most, just looking at both of these teams, that again the depth from the Evangel Lightning, but Will Welch, their freshman quarterback, looked like he could start at the senior level just out of the gate, and I said it on air. He reminded me of Caden Poulin from Christian Community. He was a freshman being put in the national championship stage, and not even knowing until a few weeks before the tournament, hey, you're starting in Florida. You're going to start for a national championship. It may be Division II, but it's still national stage. He stepped up. So did a lot of the pieces around him. They all stepped up, and wow, I'm impressed. Yeah, I'm impressed. And you know what? James is probably going to mention it, but give love to the freshman kicker, Victor Kayat.
Yeah,
the freshman kicker.
Automatic.
Just automatic.
We could just call him Victor Killer.
He was so impressive.
Colton Duro. Is a guy. Jet Turner is a guy. I'm trying to think. Zane Barlow is the name we called. Virginia Stallings. Aiden Lau, who actually got hurt Saturday.
I remember you confused him on the show. You thought he was the
He might
kicker.
not have played center. Yeah, I did,
Yeah.
I did get that confused.
But
sorry, Victor. My bad. My bad, homeboy.
they took it pretty well though. He's like, I ain't a kicker, bro. that was pretty fun.
Riley Mason. So
Yep.
there were guys that were playing on that Blue Lightning team that really showed up. I mean, quite a few seniors that, when you have that many players on a roster, and it's not like Coach Tim Smith and Evangel can help it. They're rolling into an 8-man game with 50 players, and a lot of parents, a lot of people go, "What the heck? This is ridiculous. How they can't help it. How many guys do you have to turn away to go, I can't give you a chance to play 8-man football because all these people are getting mad because we've set a culture and a standard around here that attracts people to us. We don't have to go out and recruit people. It attracts people to us. And so now we have a massive roster where we're really only playing 14 or 15 of these guys, maybe 16. And yes, they brought in a guy like Christian Chapman, who was on a roster for a high school, for a public high school early in the season, didn't play, went to a couple practices, and then he went and joined Evangel. Coach Tim Smith followed his conference guidelines. He followed Hank's guideline, or NHSA's guidelines, and Hank St. Dennis's guidelines for Florida. So all within the rules.
Yep.
Just don't like it because he's a good player. Like a baller. Like, come on. Why are we still making a big deal out of situations like this? If coaches and people follow the correct rules and regulations, we can't be making a big deal about this. Give kids a chance to play.
Yeah, it's not even that. I mean, you think about it as well. Like, if Christian Chapman had not, I mean, we'll talk about it, of course, with the D1 championship. But if Chapman had not showed up and he hadn't actually performed to the level that he did, nobody would be talking about it.
No,
wouldn't even be a conversation.
No.
It's just that when a player is good, and there's the perception that people have of, you were just trying to
You're
get
the Golden
players.
State.
You're trying Golden State and
football.
trying to stack people. That wasn't the case. With Tim Smith, he was trying to give a kid an opportunity who was, of course, don't know the situation with the public school he was at, but the impression
he did not play in any games.
Yeah, the
he
impression.
went to a couple practices.
Yeah, the impression, of course, not talking with their coaching staff or knowing anything about it, but the impression is that he was in the shadow of other players. He wasn't really looked at or given a chance, and Coach Smith, which again speaks to the culture and the coach that Tim Smith is, saw a chance for a kid to step up on the right stage, and not even that. I'll leave it at this because I do want to get Brendan's thoughts on the Division II championship. But at least with Christian Chapman, even talking to him post game with the MVP trophy presentation, you could tell the humility on him. You could tell how upstanding of a guy he is and was through that whole process, and how everyone was excited for him to get that MVP. It's like Raymond Hunt with Freedom Cowboys or Will O'Neill. Whenever they had success, the rest of the players around were cheering him. And Coach Collins said at the beginning of the year, from now on, they are Freedom Cowboys. We don't identify them as Riverside or a Knight. They are Cowboys. So it's same situation with that. But Brendan, your thoughts on that Division II championship?
Man, just like you said, just the young guys coming in and just able to just kill in that game. That just speaks to the development from the coaches, really, and the culture they make. And, yeah, you have a couple of seniors on that team, but it just shows how many weapons that Evangel has. But very impressive. I mean, just to shut down Southern Prep and how disciplined Southern Prep is as a team, that was unusual, but also the penalties cost them as well.
There's a lot of penalties in there, but Division II champions Evangel Blue Lightning, so congratulations to them on getting that victory. Now, the big dance, the national championship. The Freedom Cowboys back in it for the first time since 2016. Only put up 12 points against the strong-willed Evangel Christian School Lightning the Evangel Christian School Lightning defense only managed to get 12 points past them, and then the Evangel offense 33 points, so 33-12 final score. James, you were watching, of course, up top. Well, actually, no, not up top. You had the field cam perspective.
Working field cam.
Yeah, you had field cam perspective, and you saw everything that was going down from the sidelines. It looked like I think one of the people I talked with when we were in Florida post game. I mean, the rest of you went back, but I talked with one of them. They mentioned it looked like in that game it looked like Freedom Cowboys offense was one dimensional. How they tried the same formation, the same plays over and over, and you have to make adjustments when you're on the national stage when it's not working. You have to change things up. And Weather didn't factor into it because Oliver
No.
Johnson could have tossed it out. There was no wind, nothing affecting it on such. It looked like Oliver Johnson was potentially setting up for some passing plays, but they just kept doing the same of just rushing it either up the middle or trying to get on the outside edge of the offensive line, and it showed how the Evangel Lightning were able to just read right through it and notice, oh, you're going to do the same things to us. Okay, we're going to do the same defense. I mean, we're just going to put a stop to it. It's tough. You hate it for the Freedom Cowboys to get back to that stage and to take that loss in Florida in the national championship. But for them to get to that point after last year and the struggles they had, for them to get back, it's nothing to be ashamed about. But the Evangel Lightning just there's just something different about the Florida atmosphere that makes them so successful. They could potentially lose their state championship or lose in the 14 playoff next year if it happens with that. But Evangel goes back to the national championship. I mean, they've set the golden standard for how to perform in Panama City Beach.
And how about this? You had Ezekiel beat Evangel twice. Evangel beat Freedom twice, and Freedom beat Ezekiel twice. So who's the real state champs? But anyways, who's the real Slim Shady? Anyways,
Please stand up.
Yeah, right. No, I mean it was just, I don't know. It was, if I'm a Freedom fan, I'm sure the coaches had a plan, and I'm sure they had a reason for doing what they did. It just didn't make sense to me. And I the way they were trying to run the ball and pound the ball, which is their MO and has been their MO for several years. It looks like for the championship they tried to go back to their roots. And over the course of this season, they've developed from those roots. They've been able to throw the football. They've been able to air the ball out. They weren't doing a whole lot of that Monday night. And Ezekiel was able to crowd the box and make it happen and get it done. And with the athletes they had, the coaching they had, Freedom has great coaching. Freedom has great players.
Yeah.
But they have to put that on the field.
Yep.
And I didn't feel like that was on the field Monday night. So, kudos and shout out to Evangel. 4-time, at this point, it's like, but to be fair, the other positive of it is there's such a buildup now when someone does beat them in Florida, that team is going to be hyped.
Yep.
Because you just, it's just like a boxer or a wrestler or something. When they get built as this unbeatable, Brock Lesnar gets beat as this unbeatable guy, and all of a sudden someone beats him. Now that person is way over. So I mean that's the one good side. The one good side about it.
One thing we were not told until post game: Tristan Martone was wearing number 85. I believe he left his jersey back at
the hotel before the game.
Yeah, he left it at the hotel, and because of that, he changed to 85. We didn't know. P announcer up top didn't know. None of us knew about that, but. Martone performed as best as he could, especially as a sophomore. You could tell as well, Brendan, that the Freedom Cowboys, a lot of their star athletes were gassed, especially on the defensive side. Like Raymond Hunt put it all on the line on both the offensive and the defensive side. You could tell how frustrated he was towards the end of the game of trying to do his best, but he was just so gassed that he could not really like. He tried to be essentially the Aiden Luchtefeld of the Freedom Cowboys to show up and everything, but even Aiden Luchtefeld got gassed at some points. It's like there's just only so much he could do. But Raymond Hunt performed well. Will O'Neal had several good tackles as well, several good plays there. And, T.J. Lorio tried to get into the mix there. Joshua Butler also, he went out, I believe, late in the first quarter, early in the second, and then he came back to try and make a better situation for the Freedom Cowboys. But it is tough. But your final thoughts from that national championship?
No, Raymond definitely was trying to to me, he liked the spark, but what much his offense can do, because, I mean, they just, like you said, they keep running the same play over and over again. But, man, I feel like getting Butler out the first game, I felt like was kind of like the mood swinger. Because it was just like, as soon as he went out, it was kind of like the Cowboys kind of like, oh, what are we going to do? Which they're a talented team overall. So, obviously, I didn't get that because after Evangel just ran away with the second interception by, what was the nickname I thought about giving him? You know what? We're
I
just
don't
going to
know
call
either.
him Primetime Chapman because
There
he
you
played
go.
like Deion Sanders out there.
Yeah.
As soon as he got his second interception, I looked at Freedom's sideline, and it was just all heads were down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just like, you guys can't give up. You guys have been through worse than this.
Mhm.
You can still win. There's enough time. They're going into the second half, and their heads are still down. There's no energy. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Evangel's sideline, and they look like they already won the national championship.
Yeah. They controlled the entirety of that game. I don't think there was ever a point the Freedom Cowboys had a lead at all
No.
throughout the
No.
national championship. And
That defense held.
yeah, and I mentioned earlier about Christian Chapman. You know, you think about the storyline of that. Look in the shadow of so many players at the public school he transferred from, and for him to be in that situation and then not only win a national championship in his in his senior year, but to be named most valuable player. Credit to Tim Smith for seeing someone who is not looked at and to give them that opportunity. Like credit to him.
Because he
on that.
easily could have been like, well, they weren't looking at him. Why should I? You know, maybe there's something about him that is a little iffy.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that. He found the best.
Yeah, not even that. He could have done that, or he not even why are they looking at him? He could have even said we've got too many players on the team. I don't know if I'll be able to give you playing time on that. And again, the winning culture at the Evangel Sports Complex, the winning culture in Alabaster, all around with the Evangel family. It was amazing to see that they capped off that Florida trip weekend with their 4th straight national championship. So congratulations to the Evangel Christian School Lightning. I'm sure we'll see the Freedom Cowboys back in that tournament next year, even with losing a lot of seniors. We'll see if they'll come back. And then Saturday, we had the Greenville Hurricanes in essentially a shutout. Only one touchdown
It was
on
all
that, but
a shutout.
it was all the Greenville Hurricanes 64-6 over the Pack Panthers. And halftime, James, you were running field cam of the game. You came up and you said, Pack Panthers just can't get anything going.
No.
There's just nothing they could do at all. And they got that touchdown to start off the second half. And you thought, okay, maybe the momentum could shift here. Maybe there could be something going. But no, Greenville shut it down. They did not give a chance for the Pack Panthers to do anything. And there's a reason why they are the first champions of the SIFA in terms of the rebranding. But first champions of that, and
It's just
the story was so amazing for them to win that state championship as well.
It's just like FCA were the first champions of the TSIAA, just the rebranded.
Yep.
With the rebrands. That's kind of what they did. It just wasn't, an overnight one-person decision to change it. But anyways,
Yeah.
we won't go there. No, it was fun going all the way to South Carolina for the John Gill show. Jeez, that kid. Oh, my gosh, dude.
He was incredible.
Leave some plays for everybody else.
Yeah, no, John Gill was so incredible.
Dixon Massengill.
Yeah, Massengill was incredible. I mean, you look at several other players for.
I mean that was a
Matthew
quarterback.
Mark was incredible with the rushes he had.
Name.
No, yeah, you could
call him Eminem.
No, it took me a few minutes to realize what his name is significance. I was like, oh yeah, Matthew Mark Luke John. That's why they named him Matthew Mark. I realized why.
Well,
but
unless his last name is like legitimately Mark, and then they were like, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed they didn't go Markey.
Marky
No, that's what I was
Mark.
saying the whole entire time he made
Mark.
a play. I was like, look at little Marky Mark go.
I'll tell you, he was spreading the gospel throughout every carry that he took, though.
The way he ran the ball was the gospel.
Yeah, it was the gospel of the football god shone. Trying to think of shined brightly. I was thinking shone was a word there. Yeah, shined brightly through Matthew Mark on the night, and it's like you mentioned, it was just the John Gill show. The senior performed so well, and again, the storyline with Coach Jeff Thompson, of course, passing away, he was hospitalized. We talked with Josh Thompson before the game, and he mentioned that in that matchup against the Pack Panthers, like half of their defensive staff was out. And hospitalization was that week for Jeff, or I think it was maybe the night before, and they knew they still had to play the game and everything, so that was a big contributor to why they lost by 2 points. But the storyline there, I really do think the SIFA, that needs to be the Jeff Thompson Memorial Trophy. Like I said it in the prize presentation, but I technically named it yesterday. But yeah, that.
I mean, it'd kind of be disappointing if now they were like, yeah, no, we're not really feeling it.
Yeah, of course they already had the label printed on that trophy. I'm sure for 2022 going forward, it'll have.
Well,
that
it could
name
be
on
like they'll keep the label the same, but everyone knows it as.
Yep, exactly. But no, it was one-sided. But first time covering the Pack Panthers, first time covering the Greenville Hurricanes in terms of just a game coverage. We did the 2019 game when the Pack Panthers were in the Division II bracket for the NHSA, which was a short and condensed game. But first full game we've covered for the Pack Panthers as well as the Greenville Hurricanes, and really good experience, good environment, all around from both sides, and decent stadium, a decent advantage.
Oh, it was nice. Tennessee's got nothing like that.
But you seemed like you had some final thoughts on there. But any final thoughts on that SIFA game?
The defensive coordinator for Greenville, Jamarcus Thompson. Well, they have technically two defensive coordinators, but
Ethan Knight and Jamarcus Thompson.
Yeah, Jamarcus Thompson, the defensive coordinator. He will actually be on one of the coaching staffs for the Gatlinburg All-American game, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That was a heck of an audition to kind of prove Gatlinburg right. It's oh yeah, we allowed a touchdown in the state championship. I mean, it kind of went there, but yeah, no, it was a crazy showing for them.
Mm-hmm.
For Greenville, man, they just came out and they balled.
Yeah. And
Pack, you hate it for them. I mean, they've got some good players.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, of course, talk about, their star senior Clay Humans, who was trying to make some defensive plays there, and he did show up in some regards, but it was just, their quarterback I think we had it wrong on the roster here. I'm trying to remember what.
I hate that we didn't get to see more of their kicker because from everything I've seen from about Ethan Hubright, he had a really solid season kicking, but only got to kick off twice, and they didn't go for kick any field goals or extra points.
Well, I'm trying to remember the name of their.
It was number 32.
Name of their quarterback. Probably pull it up on the roster. Pretty sure it was Lamb. I just need to make sure I got it right here. Is 20.
I think he was a freshman.
Yeah, is it freshman? Make sure I got it right. Jance Lamb. Yep.
There you go.
Yep. The freshman quarterback. He was trying what he could, but it was just the pressure of the Greenville defense just kept getting to him every single time.
You mean just Gill?
Gill got some. Yeah,
every time I looked down,
two
he was in
fumble
the back.
recoveries.
Oh, there's 40.
Yeah,
there's 40.
There's
There's a sack on the play.
It's 40.
There's 40.
2 forced fumbles, two or three interceptions, maybe 3 sacks on the day. If anybody else had got an MVP in that, of course, the conference doesn't formally name an MVP. But we got it.
Yeah. Us and our guys at Fairlife.
Oh yeah, they said it was the I think the social media post said the SIFA MVP. Technically not, because the conference doesn't name, but it's fine.
It's fine.
Again, they still have the shirt and everything, but but such a game. What a game from John Gill and the Greenville Hurricanes. Congratulations to them on winning the SIFA. And
9-1 on their 8-1 on the season.
8-1
with 8-1 with 3 forfeits. The teams forfeited them 3 times.
Great way to conclude the regular season.
Really 11-1.
Yeah, great way to conclude the regular season. So,
oh, yeah.
All right, games are recapped. Now we head into the next segment of highs and lows of 2021, just kind of a year in review perspective. Of course, we have the shout-outs later, but just we'll start with you, Brendan. This is your first season with 8-Man Extreme. You got to be submerged in the 8-man environment and everything. So your kind of highs and lows are stuff that you really enjoyed, maybe thought were questionable on the air, those kind of things. But your highs and lows for this year.
Okay. I'm gonna start with the questioning. Like, I have questioned a lot of the refs out here. Like, for like a couple, like, I understand a couple of championship games and calling it close, and you don't want to be like the reason why the game went that way. Call it fair. If you see it, say it. Okay? Because some of the pass interference calls that Greenville didn't get, man, it was just suit and blatant obvious.
Was it just me, or did it look like it was tented towards Pack yesterday?
They tried.
It was
They tried,
very
but-
tinted towards pass. There were a lot of calls. I was like,
But those Hurricanes wide receivers were burning.
yeah, they were.
They
Yeah.
were hot out there. But no, and then I would love to see like the younger teams next year, like the guys like Lighthouse that got hit by an injury, Tennessee Heat. Maybe James will actually get them correct next year.
Wow.
And maybe they'll be on. How many? Would you say their record could be again? Give me that.
That's a good question.
While he's
Only 2 losses, 3 losses.
Hang
you
on,
said?
hang on.
While he's looking at that, I know
I-
Jonathan Thompson is watching. I want you to give us a final total on the pick'ems.
No, we don't need that.
No,
Yeah,
we do.
yeah,
We do.
we do.
I want to see the.
We
I
do.
want a final total on the pick'ems.
I picked the Tennessee Heat to go 7-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe next year that could be
Yeah,
golf.
it could. It could.
Maybe.
It could. I mean, they're losing a lot of star seniors, but they could.
You could.
No.
I had them losing their 3 11-man games, 3 out of their 4 11-man games, and then winning their other 8-man games.
But no. Anyways,
Just
back to me and my high.
It's about me.
Really, there was no lows. I loved everything about this. I got to learn 8-man football, which I didn't even know existed. But this is a different platform for like other kids to play in, and it's awesome. And there's so much talent out here. Like Gil was like probably one of the best defenders I've watched all season. And it was the last game we covered, and that was so exciting to me just to see a defensive player like that come out. All the coaches were great. Never really got any bad. And Grace Baptist, you coaches out there, y'all are my guys, love y'all. But
You put Gil on any public school team, and he's starting.
oh yeah,
Oh
He's
yes.
starting, hands down.
but yeah, great players as well. There's no bad talent. Everybody, there was always a couple stars out there that made this whole season enjoyable. I appreciate y'all. This is all to the players right here.
Yep. Players. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, so at least Brendan's kind of highs and lows for this year. By the way, I know the Jet put that. I want the actual numbers, wins and losses. I know neither of you picked ties because they didn't have. I want wins and losses. I want you to give those numbers. Okay. All right, James. Actually, Audrey. I know you said you maybe only wanted to talk
Why'd you say it like,
once.
"Aw"?
I don't know. I wanted to surprise her or
She's
something.
that
but
quiet kid that rarely talks, but she's smart. So the
Yeah.
teacher's always like, you know what? You gonna finally get to answer. Audrey.
I want to hear your highs and lows for this season, the kind of experience you had, especially you as well, first year
Not your
producing
shout
behind the
outs.
scenes, and I believe your first time directing since your senior year of high school, because during the pandemic when you were at Kentucky, you didn't really do any of that kind of stuff. So I'm interested your highs and lows for this year.
I guess the lows are just being in the cold.
Fact.
Actually, yeah.
Because Florida was very cold. I think that was the coldest game. But that's like the only low, I guess. But the highs are just hanging out with you guys and like being thanked by the coaches and the players. That was really cool. But yeah, it was really fun doing this.
Oh man, I keep trying to bring it up.
Oh, you're trying to get a camera on
I'm trying to
Audrey.
bring the camera
But
shot.
Audrey.
I'll do my shout outs to you guys at the end.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, all
fair
right.
enough.
It sounds good there. All right, James, your highs and lows for the 2021 season.
My highs would probably be. My high would probably be. Well, I really have two.
Mhm.
So there was the way that everyone treated us this year at the actual games, like in terms of getting in the getting in the booth, in the press box, giving us the space that we really needed to do the best job that we could. Couple places we had to roll with some different setups, and like Freedom, we had the laptop in the press box itself and the soundboard and all the main equipment, and then had a camera in the bleachers. So just had to roll with a couple different kinds of setups. But overall, everyone was super, willing to work with us. Even the situation with the classical Sacred Heart game earlier this year, where we had to bring our own scaffolding out and set it up. Freedom or classical, you got to get away from Jim Warren or figure something out.
The scaffold was fun to climb though.
It was fun, and I mean it was a learning experience. You got to get away from Jim Warren though. We'll get a better setup.
Well, it's either that or just get some scaffolding like FCA had, where they had the multi-layer. Maybe
Yeah.
they get the same scaffolding Evangel has.
Or
Like in the
you
field
could
or
just go
something.
back to Jim Warren.
You
or
mean
not Jim
Fred-
Warren?
Fred
Fred
Lane?
Lane.
But the field conditions, though, they're worse because at the end of the day, they're worried about player safety and the actual quality of the game. They're not worried about the broadcast side of things.
Yeah, James,
Well,
don't be
that's the
selfish.
point. At some point, that has to come into play. But
No, I'm
anyways.
sure it will. I know
So,
there.
so yeah,
yeah.
But that's not my low. My
Oh, boy.
low is everything, and it kind of plays into my other high. My low is everything that happened at the end of the season with the playoffs and the postseason and everything. We've never pulled punches. We do hurt feelings. People ask why do we talk. I've said it before. People ask why we talk about conference stuff. Well, the reason we talked about conference stuff is because the decisions they make affect the kids that we cover and the teams that we cover. And also, it's just not right the way that things are being handled.
Yep.
It's really not. But the high is that I feel like it opened a whole new door to not just be, it really opened our eyes to just not being confined to Middle Tennessee. We'll always love Middle Tennessee. It's where we're at. It's where our heart is. But the amount of welcome that we got even from people in Florida that were coming from Louisiana and Alabama, the amount of people that came up to, I don't know about you guys, but came up to me and were like, hey, we watch your show, and we watch the broadcast when we can. Even last night in South Carolina, I had a couple people come up. Hey, we listen to your show. We watch your games. It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, first off.
Yeah.
And second off, just it really opened the door, really opened eyes to say, hey, you know what? Maybe it is time to go wider and really widen our range and really go southeast. And not just say southeast and because we do Florida and other things. Really go south. The travel's going to stink, except for getting to go to Buc-ee's. Like,
You hyped that up so much yesterday.
Do what?
Hold on.
do what?
And what was that, Audrey? Try to make sure. Just
I didn't never been to Buc-ee's, and it was very big and had a lot of stuff in there. I wish I would walked around more, but I didn't know when we were leaving. So
Can you imagine if you forgot what pump you were on?
yeah.
But yeah, that was the highlight. But anyways, well, and getting to spend time with Monica on the
yeah.
drive. But anyways, yeah, the travel would stink just a little bit, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. No, I'm just kidding. It's really cool to get to go to these places where, Middle Tennessee for so long has been saturated. Really, Tennessee has been saturated that, we're here and we're broadcasting games. Everyone maybe at times takes it for granted. And these other places are so thirsty for it. The game yesterday was not the best game we've broadcast all year, but the numbers of the people that are watching it and the feedback we got from it, the feedback that the coaches got from it from parents that were texting them and emailing them, they're so thirsty and so they want to watch the kids play. They want to watch their grandsons and nephews and sons in some situations and extended family. Maybe that is so that everything that happened at the end of the year might just work out for good. Not just because of that, but because of other things that might be coming down the road in terms of teams. But that's my highs and lows. People the way people let us in the press box and treated us this year at games, and everything that happened this year.
I'd say probably my high at least was just getting to see some of the best athletes in 8-man football. Just getting to go around and travel more this year, because I know over the summer when we were talking about the schedule and such, you were wanting to add more Alabama teams, which of course we were fully open. I was fully open to that because we've gone out to Evangel several times, we've gone out to Freedom once and covered so many of their games, and then adding Ezekiel to the rotation coverage and everything. But being able to interact with coaches who get what we do, and as well as interact with players who get what we do. I found it funny after the Franklin Classical game, when you guys did Classical Sacred Heart. I had driven over because I was done with my game with ESPN Plus, and I had driven over to Fred Lane just to catch the end of the game, and even though it was the final seconds and everything. And I can't remember which player it was. It was either a fan from Classical or somebody like that.
I think it was a kid from Classical.
It was a kid from Classical. He's like, hey, James. He was thinking I was James. He's like, can I get a picture with you, James? And of course I was like, yeah, sure. And then he finally.
If you go to a game and you ask for James, don't You're not going to get James. You're going to get somebody else
But
just to mess with you.
no, but it was it was pretty cool when he posted it afterwards and said, it got to meet the voice of eight-man football, which was pretty humbling. That's the first time I've ever done like a celebrity photo, I guess. I put it. You didn't look. I put it in quotation marks. That's why I said loosely. So a celebrity photo, or I guess
So your highlight was getting to take a celebrity picture. Gotcha.
I guess so. Between that and people actually who get what we do, saying stuff along the lines of I appreciate what you guys do, appreciate what you've done for me, as well as the rest of my teammates and everything. So it was mostly that, and I reflect the same sentiment as you. My low was definitely getting barred from the state championship in the playoffs because there's something about MTAC and the TSIAA playoffs that just feel. The CFA championship, it definitely felt like a state championship, but there's just something about those playoff atmospheres that I guess because of being around them so long, it just feels like true playoff environment, and I felt that energy in those. Like when we were at the
but to be fair, we didn't get to be involved in the CFA playoffs. Leading up to that championship.
And we haven't been involved in because obviously ACSE only has their state championship. They're looking to open it up to a 14 playoff bracket. But, yeah, we weren't involved in those. But it was very, it felt weird around that time with other playoff games going on, not being involved in it. And it also, of course, we were frustrated for doing the right thing. We get barred from it because the ego's being bruised. It's just it was disappointing, but I reflect the same sentiment as you. It's like at this point, it's consider looking elsewhere. Consider covering other teams who actually get what we do and covering leagues who aren't going to bar you just because their egos are hurt.
Well, and maybe it's getting away from. Everyone talks about, well, you don't criticize other leagues. Other leagues don't do stuff that makes me want to smash my head into some drywall.
Right.
You talk to other leagues and the commissioners from other leagues and directors and people that run it, and everything they're doing makes sense.
Yep.
100% makes it. They have systems in place, and they follow those systems no matter what.
Right.
It's set in stone. They're going to go with it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's no fluidity. I mean, unless there's an emergency situation, there's no fluidity. They stick to the rules. They go by the letter of the law, and that's what it is. It was very disappointing, but at the same time, it's again, we got to cover the CFA championship. We got to cover the SIFA state championship. Still got to go down to Florida and cover teams out there who understood what we did and people who respect what we do. So that was pretty special. So, but okay, next we got into Brendan got into this a little bit, but now we'll do a slight preview of 2022. Because next year, of course, we have a lot of seniors graduating this year for all the teams around, and high school football itself is paritable with seniors graduating and more students either for different situations transferring to other schools or choosing not to play football or going to other programs and such. So, so with this preview, I'll start with you, Brendan. Which teams and players are you most excited for going into next season?
Like I said before, Tennessee Heat is definitely one of the big ones. I would like to see Stumps and see how he develops as a quarterback because he's a big interest because the way he played was amazing. I would love to see how Grace Baptist goes after this year, after what happened, because I'm sure they'll be edging for even more revenge and say, oh, what happened in Florida was just a fluke. Mm-hmm. We'll show you how professional we are as business-wise. And Evangel, how stacked they are. I love to see them. It's a lot. There's a lot of guys and a lot of teams out there I'm hype and excited for. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, all right, James. I know you like to preview 2022, especially since you'll be around next year. What's exciting you the most, or what are you intrigued to see for the next football season?
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing guys like Luke Matthews, freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
Guys like Aiden Luckfeld. Honestly, Freedom had a lot of underclassmen on the team. They had some seniors, but they had guys coming up. Excited to see what happens with them. These teams that are currently independent or just not happy with their current situation. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with them and what, maybe there's an alternative that shows up, to where it's not just be here or be independent. Maybe there's something outside of that. So excited to see what happens with that and where that goes. And really what I'm looking forward to in 2022 is, potentially traveling a lot more, going and seeing, you had the Louisiana State Championship. I think it was the week of Florida Nationals. But you had the Louisiana State Championship. You had North Carolina. One championship game was last Friday, and then the Friday before Florida, and then the other one was the week before. They had the two divisions. We got to go to South Carolina. Illinois was this last Friday night. Mississippi and Georgia's is coming up. So 2022, just getting to see a lot more 8-man. There's a lot of 8-man around, and hopefully some of these areas that don't get as much coverage as Tennessee's gotten for the last 8 years. Just possibly giving them more coverage, and also, maybe getting more people on board. Whether it's an ex-player that has an idea of something they want to get into, or an ex-player who maybe is excited. Maybe they've been interested in this area, the media area, or even people that are in school that have no clue, like you two, have no clue about 8-man football, but you want to get into sports media. There's an outlet here, and it's a very empty and thirsty market and niche, and there's a ton of opportunities for, just practice and repetitions. You've got Spencer, who's been here for 5 years and has now done over 100 games, maybe 120, 130. I would say over 5 years, because if we do 25 games a year on average, 20
like
to
that,
25, 5 years, so about 100, 110. I mean, that's a lot of football to call. That's a lot of football to put on your resume. I mean, if you were to intern with one school and you're the voice of that school, you might get 10 games in a year. That level of experience would take you 10 or 12 years to get to. So
unless you're like me, calling all the other sports for FCA and doing about close to 100 games a school year.
Well, yeah, but in terms of just football. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to in 2022. I think it'll be really interesting after the recount, counting postseason.
Oh, there it is. I got you. So, after the recount and RFCC Lebanon counted postseason, Jonathan Thompson, 52 wins and 40 losses on his pick'ems. James, 40 wins and 34 losses, a 12-game difference. And I think he did his final show on Tuesday after the recaps and everything. He didn't pick the SIFA championship.
It was preseason.
Preseason. There's the word preseason. I think you got to start picking. It's 40 to 32. Okay, so you had a 10-game difference actually. So 10 games there. Did you guys make a wager preseason?
No.
You guys didn't do anything this year? Okay.
Just to pick them, just a friendly pick.
Just the friendly pick 'em.
Friendly pick 'em.
You got to start picking week by week now. I think that either that or if you're going to do preseason pickups, you got to start going to practices again.
We'll see.
Because you did that in 2019 prior, and that's what really helped you.
Maybe.
So we'll see how it goes.
Maybe we can get around to some practices.
I'm really
We
interested.
might not need to do it. We might not need to do a Tennessee pick'em anymore if we're not just covering Tennessee teams. If we if we become Mr. Worldwide, just, Mr. Southern Wide,
Mr. Worldwide,
Mr. Southeast Wide,
Mr. Southeast Wide. That just sounds so weird, Mr. Southeast Wide.
Mr. Southeast Wide.
I'm interested to see how Evangel does with their depth and how that challenges against other teams. I'm interested as well to see how Grace Baptist does, because it's so hard. We saw it this year with Franklin Christian. It's so hard to win a state championship back to back. Ezekiel did that this year, and it was a difficult challenge in this year's state championship against the Evangel Lightning. So I'm interested to see how Ezekiel is with losing all of their seniors, at least with those three. I'm interested as well to see how the Tennessee Heat does and how they reload. Thinking about other juniors, I'm interested in Deuce Bragg in his senior year.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned it as well. He's losing a lot of his weapons, including Spurlock and Hargrove. I believe Arrington was a senior this year. Or was he junior? I think he was a junior.
Good question.
Here I can actually probably tell you almost instantly. But he was. With him being a that being in the grade he is, which if I get that correctly with the LCA Knights, Ryan Arrington is a junior. So the senior going into that, you still got Arrington and Deuce Bragg. I'm interested to see how they reload, especially losing Spurlock, Hargrove, Cloese, Elijah Moore, and Bradley Humphreys and Trey Justice, losing those 6 seniors. You know, you mentioned it earlier that it's Deuce Bragg's state championship to win this year because you think he's going to be the best, at least from your words, you think he's going to be the best quarterback in the TSIAA going into 2022.
Let's see what I think. I mean, you got Caden Poulin. You got Caden Poulin, Jaden Batson.
Caden Poulin might be dangerous.
He'd be dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
You do have Tanner Clark, classical. I don't know about FCA's quarterback, Richie. I think Richie's a sophomore or something like that. So he could
I wonder how they rebound.
Yeah, especially after losing in the semifinals. Franco Christian rebounding would be interesting. Hopefully, you'd be able to get him in the coverage system next year because maybe they learned from a year that it damages the players more than good. But you know,
Kaiser won't be back for Zion.
Yep, Kaiser won't be back. But yeah, I'm interested in Deuce Bragg. See how he does his senior year because he's been, he has a state championship experience under his belt and taking a loss to Grace Baptist team that was the better team just overall. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes into 2022. So a lot of stuff to look forward to for next year. All right, well, we've recapped the games. We've gone through 2021. We previewed 2022. It's now time for the shout-out section.
Oh, no, hold on.
Oh, wait, that's right. You have your
Before we
your
do
prediction
that,
stuff. You got your
I have. We will get later about this being Spencer's last show, and this isn't the end exactly. We still have Gatlinburg coming up in December, but Spence, you are the reason that we are on YouTube. Like. For real, have we ever told? I think we told that story during an Extreme Talk, but I don't think we've actually.
You've told it multiple times about the getting over to YouTube stuff, which I'm going to address.
Okay, so we'll go through that.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, Spence, is I kind of gave you a spoiler on the first two, but you don't remember them. And I would include you guys, but you've been here a year. So, Spencer, the top 10 most watched broadcasts. I'm making sure. I think you did all of them. Yes, you did all of them.
And that's not because of me. Just to clarify, there's
no, it's not
way
because of you. It's just because
no
you've been play by play.
Yeah, there's no way.
So let's see if you can get the top 10. Top 10 broadcasts. This is regular season games, playoff and championship games, All-American games, Extreme All-Star games. So let's see how many you can get.
Gosh. Okay.
This will be interesting.
2019 national championship has to be up there.
Yes, it's at number 5.
Okay. There has to be. I'm going to say 2020. I think I remember you saying 2020 8-man All-American game. I think it's up there.
Yes, it is.
20. Okay, so 2020 8-man All-American game.
One of them is. We actually had two 2020 because you had the one that
January,
happened in January and the one that
December.
happened in December.
Okay, so
those two games are number 1 and number 2.
Okay, so I got
in terms
there.
of in terms of views.
Did the CFA championship make the top 10 this year?
It did not.
Okay, CFA. Did SIFA?
No.
Okay.
Remember, this is over 5 years.
That's what I'm trying. Is top 10 2017 state championship on there?
2017
South Haven Christian Community. Okay,
it is.
There's a 4 on there.
So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So I got 4.
8. That's number 8.
Okay, so I got 4 on those. Let's see. It couldn't have been the 2019 state championship because we had. I think there was another. There was Easel Harding.
2019.
Really?
State championship. Yeah.
For
just over 2,000 views.
Man, okay, 5 on that. I thought we would have beat the numbers. Okay, this year's national championship?
No.
Okay,
actually.
2018?
Yes.
Okay, 6.
It is at number.
And I'm not even including the All-Star games right now, or at least I've done the.
It's at number 6.
Okay.
2018 between CCS and Evangel.
Any of the Extreme All-Star games on there?
Wow. I'll give it to you.
Because there's 4.
2017's All-Star game is
Okay.
at number 10 with
Okay, that's
just
7.
over 1,500.
That's 7. Okay. Any of the 11-man All-American Bowls?
Wow, you're really just shotgunning this.
Well, I'm going with those because there's only a limited number
yes,
of them.
So the 11-man, the 2020 11-man games are number 2 and number 3. I know I said earlier it was the 8-man games.
So I got
were 1 and 2.
9.
So it's 2020. The first 2020 8-man game is number 1, and then the 11-man game is 2. 11-man game is 3. 8-man game is 4. So that's the top 4 on our
So
channel
I've got
right
one.
now.
I've got one more I got to list. So it's not.
You're not guessing this one.
Oh, I'm probably not guessing that one.
Well, no, you should. Well, no, hang on. Actually, you're missing 2.
Okay.
There's 2 that you have not.
2018 national championship.
You already said that.
Okay. 2020 Ezekiel Evangel.
Yes.
Okay.
That is at number.
So that's 9 now.
That one is actually at number 6.
Okay.
There's
So-
one more.
Okay. So I got one more. Was it regular season or postseason?
Postseason.
Okay. Was it a quarterfinal?
It was a semifinal
Okay.
from this year.
Semi.
I'll go ahead and give it to you.
Wait, semifinal for this year?
From this year.
Oh, so that's gonna be the game that is it Grace Grace Ezekiel semi?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Grace Ezekiel was the consolation.
Oh,
Grace
sorry,
Evangel
no. Grace Evangel.
Grace Evangel from
yeah,
this
'cause they
season.
okay.
is number 9 with
Okay.
1,700. So the most viewed video we have is the 2028 man with 5,000, just over 5,000 views.
Is that the January or?
That is the December. No, that is the January one.
Okay. Yeah, because that was also when we had the last second. That's another tidbit story for you. 2020. Peter.
we've told that story.
Yeah, Peter walked out, and then that was a good tone setter for the year. Like James and I are driving out. He was getting some equipment from me. Get a call from Andrew Capp saying, "Hey, he walked out, and everyone's asking about the broadcast thing. Can we get you guys to come up last second?" Which we did. We got it done, and then James, as we were driving out of the stadium, he goes, "What a way to ring in the new year," and then pandemic hit. It's like a few months after that.
Who'd have thunk?
But all right, well, I
There you go.
got
That's
it.
the top 10.
I got it. Other than having to
Lot of-
narrow it down to the All-American games and the national championships, because I figured it was mostly postseason stuff. Because regular
Yeah.
season, we started getting some decent views this year, but at least in terms of overall viewership, yeah, it's mostly the big stage stuff. So, but anyways, so all right,
We
well,
did talk about the brawl. Just to address the comments, we did talk about the
Yep.
Grace Ezekiel situation.
mhm.
Thanks for all you guys do for me, man. Look forward to seeing you guys next year. Maybe take a road trip on our bye week and call another game.
Oh,
Joiner.
that's Coach Turner.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Hagen.
hopefully that. All right.
Is his first name Michael?
Maybe he's using someone else's YouTube account, or something
Maybe.
like that.
Or maybe his name is Michael Joyner.
Maybe it is.
Coach Michael Joyner.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding.
maybe it is. All right.
Let me-
Final shot. Oh boy, you got one more thing.
One more. You mentioned regular season. So just
Yeah.
for informational purposes,
Our highest viewed
our
regular
highest
season
viewed
game.
regular season game,
Mhm.
it is, and I bring these up because you've called all these. Our highest viewed regular season game is drum roll. No, I'm just kidding. I ain't got to do drum roll. Or do a drum roll.
We are.
It is the 20. Let's make sure this is correct. From 2020, Tennessee Heat Evangel.
That makes sense. Because of the distance between Mount Juliet and Alabaster, or technically Montebello.
And it was hyped. It was hyped up a lot.
Oh yeah, and
it's-
it lived up to the hype in my
Oh, yeah.
opinion. It
It's
was
got,
a great game. You and I ended up calling that one because I think Zach and Jack were not able to go down. Granted, we had a lot less equipment to work with, but
The 2020 NHSA semifinal where they played each other in Florida
Mhm.
has just over 1,300, and the game they played in Alabama has 1,250. And then the next highest regular season game is Tennessee Heat and CCS Colts from 2020. So there you go.
not too bad. Not too bad. I narrowed it down
You've
because I
called
figured.
quite a few games.
Yeah, I've slept since all of them. But all right, Now we get into the final segment of the show, which is the shout-outs for the 2021 season. The final shout-outs. We got Jerry Jr.'s final shout-outs last week because, of course, he he's not with us today.
It's not like he died.
No, he's just not with us.
R.I.P.
He's watching your kids.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he's
No,
watching your.
Monica's watching the kids.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
'cause
She
Monica
decided
didn't
to-
come down.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
didn't come down for the final show. But anyways, final shout-outs. Everybody will get their piece in, their final shout-outs for the 2021 season, and then we'll officially wrap things up for Extreme Talk and for the regular broadcast season coverage of 2021. We of course have the Gatlinburg All-American Bowls on December 18th. I believe it's 10 and 2. It's when they're starting those games, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. On the 18th.
Probably something like that.
Something
First
like
name
that.
is Michael. There you go.
There we go. Yeah,
Coach Michael Joyner.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
But anyways, so final shout-outs for 2021 before we officially wrap things down and everything. So we will start out with our fearless producer director, who's put on so many caps this year.
And has also never had a ramen.
And she never
I
had
know.
ribs. She never had ribs going into Florida, which gave her her first experience with ribs. She's never had ramen or even the
Yeah.
instant cup noodles or like the ramen
Yeah.
noodles or anything like
It's
that. So
wild.
we
I know,
got
I'm sorry.
we got to
I'm not cultured.
I like how she
said, "I'm not
tried
cultured."
to flex with that with a stretch like, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, cultured.
Like I'm cultured. Okay. So we give it. Actually, James,
Almost gut shot.
get that camera over to our producer,
Yeah.
Audrey Green.
Oh, I'm gonna be on camera.
It's your the final show. We might as well get your shout out on there. Hopefully it connects out. It's not that, or you could just rotate the camera and make it way
Yeah,
easier.
do you want me to just rotate this camera?
Really close shot of me.
I can just back it up.
Yeah.
I can not be on camera.
Oh,
It's okay.
there's one of the Jamesisms. Hang on. He
on,
said
hang
that a
on,
lot.
hang on.
There, while he's setting that up, there's a lot of Jamesisms that we have here. There's hang on. Let me do something. There's or.
Oh,
we go.
I see.
And,
There we go.
and there's also
okay.
there's also
Okay,
many
I
other
switched
ones.
it
so.
to me. I switched
All
it
right.
to me.
Oh, I can control the zoom from here.
Yeah, your hands are very shaky. But
I was zooming in
Very
here.
shaky.
We'll
Okay,
steady
okay.
it.
let's hope it.
I want to read it because I wrote it down.
Yeah, you're gonna make some people very sick with the motion sickness on there. But all right, our fearless producer director, all the caps she's worn for this season, Audrey Green, for her final shout outs of 2020.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
This year has been really hard for me. And I really needed a purpose. And 8-Man Extreme gave me a purpose. It gave me knowledge, but more importantly, it gave me family. I feel like we have grown so much together, and I've always felt safe and appreciated. So, Brendan, I want to say thank you so much for always being there for me and for always driving me around. You have my best interest at heart, and you are so kind. Hopefully you come back next year because I don't know what I would do without a friend like you, even though you make fun of me sometimes.
We all make fun.
Yeah,
All out of
we
love.
roast
All out
each
love.
other.
Okay, James, thank you so much for always making me laugh and for being so nice to me. I've always felt appreciated by you, which makes my day. Working at games with you is never a dull moment. You truly make 8-Man Extreme a tight family. I can't wait for what next year has in store for us. Spencer, without you, I wouldn't be here. I never thought that coming to the first meeting would lead me here to the final Extreme Talk of the year. Thank you so much for being such a great person to me and for always having my back. You have taught me so much and helped me through so many things. I appreciate everything you have done for me. I'll miss you next year. I'm so happy I joined 8-Man Extreme. Being thanked by the coaches and players is so rewarding. And shout out to all the teams that treated us so well.
Shout out. There's the shout
Yes,
out. There's the
ma'am.
behind the scenes.
Oh, she's not.
Everything
she's-
she's running.
Oh, actually, yeah. Swap to
Three
that camera.
cameras.
Swap to that camera, and everything she's
there's
running.
the three
so
cameras.
there's one
she
camera,
runs,
main camera. There's that. We got
and
red
she's
zone.
over there working the
Yeah.
iPad.
We got red zone going on in the background. She's got.
I wonder if the
tablet
iPad
there.
would like freak out. I wonder if
Yeah.
freak out if you see. Hey, turn the iPad around real quick. Let's show everybody what they're working with. Yeah, so that's what she's working with.
Mhm. Yeah,
There you
that's,
go. Switching cameras. There you go.
What? Coach just said her last shout-outs are so much better than y'all's. We haven't even gotten to it yet. He's already. I mean, probably.
You
you
probably
know,
should have
but,
saved her for last. man.
Appreciate it so much, Audrey. All right, Mr. Brendan Daniel, our color analyst for the year. As you know, I've had every year I've had a different steady color
have.
analyst this year. Every single year, which I'll get into on
You have.
my final stuff. But you know, our my fifth different steady color analyst and such, we go to now Brendan Daniel. Your final shout outs for 2021.
First off, I'm just shout out to 8-Man Extreme Team. We did great this season. Like, man, we went from 6 people possibly to just the 4 of us. We done great. We gotten everything together in the most craziest times, craziest weather formats and everything. It's been great, and I love you guys to death. Audrey, you're like a little sister to me. Like, that's why I joke with you a lot. It's nothing personal. It's just you made this fun on car trips, even when we snuggled up in the back seat because James decided to ride with us at the last minute. And also, Florida was fun because of you. I probably would have just been sitting at home studying the whole time, but thank you for getting me out of that house and it's like, let's go explore. So thank you for this fun trip, and you're an awesome producer and director, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James.
What's up,
my boy?
What's up,
you,
Devon?
man, you have made this whole thing fun. Like, I thought this was going to be serious the whole entire time.
Wow.
Turning
Whoa,
you up a
whoa,
little bit.
whoa,
Sorry.
whoa.
I know
Easy
that
though.
was sudden. I'm sorry.
But
There you
no, the reason why I didn't have any lows, especially when we didn't get to cover the playoffs, is because, dude, you hustled just to get other games for us to like cover, and that was so awesome and inspiring. And that's why I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do my best now since James has put his foot forward. And again, dude, you're a genius for this.
Appreciate it.
And like just knowing that you didn't go to like kids, this man should be an inspiration to you guys just to do something, because this man literally didn't go to. Did you go to college?
I went for a semester.
Didn't go to college.
He just said,
He's just, let's just count it out.
Didn't go to college. Just literally just made this up on a whim because he knew this is what the world needs. He knew this is what these kids need, the coaches, just everything about the game and how these young guys don't get the coverage that other usually get. That's awesome of you, dude. And everybody should thank you every time you walk into wherever, bro.
nah, man.
Now, Spencer, the guy that has made me a better color analyst. And I feel like, yes, Spencer, you have. You've helped me a lot. A lot of people don't know in the backgrounds. I always was in Spencer's ear, like, oh, what did I do? What have I done bad? Blah, blah. He just always told me.
Absolutely.
James did that as well. But absolutely, I did a lot, and like I know I caught myself so many times doing it, and I was just like, okay, I do need to stop that. That was the only thing they really just was like, dude, you got to stop that. But you also let me be me at the time. So James let me be like a fan of the game, but you made me pull out the player in me.
The professional side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even the professional side, like the player professional side.
Right.
Like you were the player. He was the player professional.
Right.
And because of you, I feel like I know what to do now if I was to put in any type of situation. If I'm here next year, I'll be grateful because of you being a better color analyst. That's it, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. I do have to shout out a Grace Baptist fan because she literally thanked me, and she remembers my voice every time she watches the show. So shout out to you out there. I didn't catch your name, and I'm so sorry. I wish I did.
No.
She knows who she
No,
is.
no.
We were at the we were at the game in Florida, and she was like, "Hey, I love what you do. I love how you talk. Like, thank you." That gave me just even more inspiration to do better as well.
There's here's another coach texting saying, wanted to say thanks for all y'all do. Hope to see you again next year with either home or away.
All right, perfect. Perfect to hear that from the coach.
This is a South Carolina coach, so.
Yep. Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate it. All right, James Shannon, you're our fearless leader. Your final shout-outs for 2021.
All right. First off, I'm going to start this off by giving a shout-out to my wife, Monica.
Yeah.
Behind the
Monica.
scenes,
Monica.
This woman not only puts up with this dude that a lot of people don't like, but this year she's been so understanding of the schedule. And there's been a couple years where I haven't had to be on the road. I haven't been on the road as much. This year I was on the road for every game, just with everybody else. As a matter of fact, well, I think I was at every game. No, I took one game off when I had my toe surgery.
Yep.
I took one game off, and other than that, so I was at every other game, and even a couple games where you guys had to move your schedules around, take time off. But just so understanding of the schedule. I got ready to leave today, and I was like, "Hey, last Sunday," she goes, oh, "Man," like it's a positive negative for her because on one hand, it's 4 hours without me. On the other hand, it's me leaving every afternoon, so every Sunday afternoon. So, big shout out to her and my kids for understanding. And just being awesome. And for surprising me last week, showing up early Sunday morning after making the road trip down. Shout out to all these teams that won their state championships. There's a couple that we haven't mentioned. A couple from Florida, Donahue Catholic. Hang on, I want to give the rest of them a shout out. Shorecrest Prep. And the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. The other one is Lake Mary Prep. So shout out to you guys for winning your state championships. That's pretty awesome. And Illinois state champion. Audrey, when we had the first meeting early this year, I walked in and was not expecting a girl to be here. And it was kind of a shock factor because we've obviously never had a girl on crew. Which I'm all for women in sports, just never been around it. Didn't know how it was going to go, and over the course of the season, you've kind of found your spot where you fit in. You started off the year, you wanted to be on the field with the field cam. And as soon as the tripod got broken, you were done with it. You were over it. You were like, I'm in the booth. So you went to the booth. And most of the time, you're working a camera and an iPad because we're short-staffed. So just seeing the way you understand how to shoot the game and how to switch the shots and then what shots to get, just seeing your growth as a producer. I know you did it before and then now doing it here. It's been awesome to see you take the knowledge you already had and then build on it and make it to where you're doing the video producing for a national championship and just crushing it in terms of the shots and everything. So shout out to you on that, and just the work of everyone doesn't see after the games. We'll do the post-game hit usually, and then, that's really, like, for me, that's my only opportunity to go talk to coaches, go talk to players, anybody. Because pre-game, I kind of want to leave them alone, and, post-game is my chance to go talk to everybody. And almost every game, it's been Audrey and Brendan packing up, or Spencer might go up and pack up, and I'll be down shaking babies and kissing hands and, just kind of talking to people and interacting with people. And then by the time I get back up, everything's pretty much already packed up. We just got to carry it to the car. And Audrey's never complained about it one time. So shout out to Audrey. She's just a hard worker. And Brendan's the same way. Whenever Brendan's done with his hit on the field, he's up in the box packing up. No matter how long we're on the field, once we get up there, everything's pretty much already packed up. Brendan, you didn't complain this year in Florida whenever we were supposed to have another color guy and he kind of flaked out. You said, yeah, I'll do 8 games, which you only had to do 7, thankfully, and you scaled it back, so you weren't actually talking for 7 games. But you never backed down from that. Really got to appreciate your driving skills last week, coming back from Florida. Real MVP. But just seeing the growth and how much you enjoyed seeing all these players. And it's always interesting every year when guys come from outside 8-man and they come into this and they're getting to watch these players, just watching week by week, like the attention you're paying to these guys and how much they're playing. The first couple weeks you really couldn't say anybody's name, and now you're at the point where you're like, I like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. It means a lot to these kids. We've been told it means a lot to these kids to hear their names said individually, and you're at the point where now you're saying the kids' names, and that's really cool. It's really cool to give people shout-outs like that. So just the growth, and we already have a color analyst if you come back next year. Like, that spot's set. Now we just need a play-by-play guy. Well, that's where you come in. Haven't had to worry about a play-by-play guy in 5 years. It's just been there. Which, means we haven't had to go out and get a play-by-play guy, but, at the same time, there's been stability, other than maybe a game or 2 each year. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool to have that stability. I've told the story before, 2017. I had personal life stuff going on, and we called the first 2 games of the season, and the plan was for me and you to roll through the season. And after the second game, I said, I can't do it. I said, you can either call the games by yourself or you can go back to FCA and do stuff for them because you were fresh out of high school, 18. And you said, let me think about it. And 20 minutes later, Trent Legate, who helped us that year, messaged. And then, but it's just, so it wasn't you going, yeah, I'm out, I'm done. If you're not going to be on board, I'm not going to be on board. You're the reason the shows and the games and everything are on YouTube. The stupid amount of behind the scenes work to get YouTube going. The incessant organizing of our email and our Google Drive. I will literally get an email and I'll be like, okay, I'll go back and look at it. And then I go back and it's not there. And like for a year, I was like, Spence, where's this email? Oh, it's in this category. And now I know, just go to the category. If it's not in the category, then it is in the main email inbox. Just incessant organizing. But that's the kind of behind the scenes work that y'all don't see. The sponsorship work. Spencer's done all of our sponsors for the last 5 years. And dude, the number of email, when I look at the sent emails during the off season and the grind, it's stupid. Probably email at least, what would you say, at least 100 businesses?
I wouldn't even estimate, but yeah, something
like that, and maybe only get 10 back. And that's if he gets 10 back. But just the grind that this dude puts into it, the work, like that's it. I'm not worried about trying to replace play-by-play next year. I'm worried about trying to replace all the behind-the-scenes work that this guy does. It's been really awesome having a teammate and really having a team, having a crew. It's not working for anybody. We all work together. We all have a place that we fit in. And to have a teammate like you where, you know, I've always been the aspiring, hey, what about this? And you're like, probably not. Not going to work. Or it's feasible. Let's try it. You're getting better about doing things last minute. You're getting a lot better about doing things last minute. You used to be absolutely no. Now it's like, well, maybe we can make it work, which I think has helped a lot. But just over the course of 5 years, I did go back and watch some of the 2017 games, and it was rough, dude. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And we have different styles, but I've learned to appreciate your style. And I think it's cool that we've been able to kind of bounce it off of each other, whereas I've influenced you in terms of calling games like you're sitting on the couch, but you've influenced me in terms of calling games a little more professional. So people will say I've been a bad influence because I now have you being controversial. But you have truly learned how to look at something and go, it's not right, and I'm going to speak up and say something about it. And it's been really cool that everything that's gone on this year, the whole crew, but, you know, the history that we have to have someone who's ride or die, and it's like, look, I may not agree with everything, but we're a crew, and we're going to ride with this, and we're going to go with it, and we're going to back each other up. It's been really cool to have that kind of, to have that. And then, you know, even just outside of football, just, you know, for those of y'all that don't know, we're like completely 100% different on a lot of things, like different people, different interests, but we both work our tails off like 100%. And I think that's why we mesh so well, is because we see each other's work ethic, and it kind of inspires us to try to want to outwork the other person. I don't know. I can't speak for you. I want to outwork you. And I think that's where success comes from, is when you don't have an end goal that, hey, let me get to that end goal and we're good. It's always, okay, we're here. What's the next step? What's the next thing we can do? Going into this year, it was, okay, what can we do? We can add more Alabama teams. We could go to South Carolina and do a state championship. We can do 8 games in 3 days in Florida. So it's been really cool to grow this thing with you, and you know, obviously it's probably going to look different with you being gone, and it's going to have to. But 8-Man Extreme would not be where it is today without the work you put into it. Because we saw where it went in 14, 15, 16 before you got here. And it was not very far. Had not gotten far at all. So, just, the fact that you've always welcomed in work. And like I said, I can't say enough about the behind-the-scenes stuff, the behind-the-scenes stuff you've done. The work you've done looking into specs and, just making sure that the equipment is right, making sure everything gets ordered. I know I'm just rambling, but it really, people don't understand the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes. And it's not just me, and it's not just any one person. But this guy's done a stupid amount of it. So, I miss you, dude. I miss you a lot, man.
You got any other shout-outs?
Shout out to South Carolina Pilks yesterday for being super awesome, and shout out to my wife Monica for driving the last little part, and then being willing to had nothing to do with the game. She was doing nothing with the game, but willing to ride along. That way, I wasn't making it solo. So, yeah, that's really it.
Before I get into my farewell and such, I want to show real quick on our Be Right Back screen our sponsors for this year. And we have
100%.
of course some more.
Round of applause.
Yeah, sponsors. Last year was difficult in a variety of situations, not just from a personal level for me, but for a personal level for James and as well as Zach and Jack and everyone involved. But last year we were spread thin. With the pandemic, everybody was spread thin with advertising budgets. And when I started sending out emails for sponsors in May, that was when the peak of the lockdowns were happening, and most companies said we have cut all of our advertising budget to make sure that everyone's taken care of, which was the absolute right thing to do. Don't knock anybody for doing that.
No.
But last year we were cut thin, and we had, I think, 3 sponsors maximum, and we did our best to try and spread that out. But it was a lot of difficulty where we couldn't invest really in any equipment or anything like that. And then for this year to have people come and bounce back, believe in what we do, and
a lot of
support
and
us.
some people reaching out to us.
Yeah,
and going, we want to work with you guys.
Yep. And I think sponsorships you'll be fine next year because you got a bunch of people reaching out already. I think
there's a lot of people reaching out.
But just to read off the sponsors specifically, at least on your screen and the ones that are not on it, GracePointe Healthcare, of course. I'm going to mention a little bit later, but of course my mom and dad run GracePointe Healthcare and such. And of course this will be the last show at the GracePointe Healthcare studios and everything. So a shout out to them for supporting the broadcast and letting us do the show here the last 4 seasons now, and hosting this in the conference room and allowing us to set up the tripods and everything in here every Sunday consistently being in here during the season. It's a special thank you to them for investing in us, allowing us to use their wrapped truck and wrapped vehicles, the Cadillac Escalade when they used to have it wrapped and such, taking that down to Florida in 2019 and everything. Just the amount of investment they've had. I'll get more into it later, but a thank you to them. Fairlife Core Power Protein, Rob Schroeder, the field marketing director, of course, his son is on the JV team for the Tennessee Heat, but he reached out to us in late 2020 saying that he wanted a sponsor, and that we were already planning on making the Extreme Broadcasting Network a official company, and then housing 8-Man Extreme under it. But this springboarded it officially. If Fairlife was going to get on board, we might as well bump it up on that regard. And so we did, and they were our first platinum tier sponsor, and they gave, we still have a stupid amount of protein shakes left over, which those are going to be handed out in Gatlinburg.
Oh yeah,
Gatlinburg, they're going to get all those protein shakes that we have left over, but we've consumed them on the road, and we tossed a bunch of them out last week in Florida and gave a bunch of samples out and everything. So thank you to Rob Schroeder for his investment in us.
It's also been really cool to be able to recognize a player of the game after each game and give them a T-shirt, interview them on the show, give them samples, have the fun with the chug-offs, and it's been cool to add that element to what we've been able to do, and just to see the excitement of the kids when they get to be player of the game.
Yeah,
The fact that they put the shirt on during the interviews, they do the interview, and then after that, they're not taking the shirt off. The shirt stays on for all the pictures they're taking. That's really cool.
Yeah, and to give the coaches a chance to honor their players
Exactly.
in that regard as well. Continuing on the sponsors here, First Horizon, a special shout out to Yolanda Green, the region president for Rutherford County on First Horizon, which is formerly First Tennessee, and the amount of emails I've sent her over the year bugging her to get on board, and then finally saying, hey, this is my last year. This would probably be the last time unless you want to support James, but don't have that personal relationship with him. And she finally, she I guess budged might be the proper wording on that. She budged, and they agreed to sponsor. But a thank you to First Horizon on doing that, because they they care about high school football. They care about the community and everything, and for them to invest this year is something special in that regard. Crutcher's Auto Repair as well, same situation of sending them emails, just kind of lightly bothering them or bugging them throughout the
Lightly is an
the year.
understatement.
Understatement, yeah, for Crutcher's Auto Repair, for them supporting this year and coming on board and such, as well as Iceberg Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Crumble Cookies. I'll get more into it later, but shout out to Michael Crawley on all the businesses he's owned. Of course, Jets Pizza, when they sponsored previous years, he owned several Jets Pizza's locations, and for him to support in the way he has, again,
Way back in the day, MDI Construction Inc.
Yep, was 2017. I was almost thinking about asking if we could do our last show at MDI, but I don't think they're in the same building as we were in 2017. Because if they were, it would have been
that'd be full circle.
Yeah, again, that would have been a full circle thing. But I figured they have a new headquarters and such. But
Crumble giving us the chance.
But yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah,
Sorry,
for
my bad.
Crumble Cookie Extreme Player of the Week. Fairlife helped us honor the players after the game. Crumble additionally helped us highlight the players after the weekend.
Maybe at a game that we weren't able to be at.
Game we weren't able to be at, as well as it also gave us a chance to engage fan voting and to give people the proper recognition. And again, putting it back to the coaches that we covered, and to just giving them the chance to highlight the player that they felt performed the best and put in the hard work, and give them a chance to, give them some reward for that and help them be recognized on social media with all of that. And I think we had, 15 players of the week with Crumble Cookies?
No, it was
because we had 20 broadcasts, but we had but those were a lot of double headers. Such I think.
You're talking about the player of the week or play of the game?
Player of the week. I think
player
it was like 13 or 15.
We had an 11-week regular season, then we did 12. We had 12. 12 player of the weeks.
12
players of the week.
Okay.
And I'm trying to
we may have had 12 or 13, something like that. But special thank you to Michael Crawley on that for his support. Yeah.
Before we move on, total of 3,700 people who voted over the course of 12 weeks.
Yeah. Shout out to the people who voted. All those people who supported their team, supported their players, and everything. It was very very special to see that. And of course, the fan voting last year also blew up. Had a lot of people just refreshing the page and spam clicking everything. We fixed that this year.
Yeah.
But it's
to some people's dismay, but it was the best way to do it.
Yeah, the best way to do it. And of course, get into it more later as well, because it's family, but as well as the Kingdom.com, the ministry technology provider, my aunt and uncle Juanita and Johnny Bergeson, and for the investment they've had in us. It was really cool in. I think it was spring of 2019 when I graduated with my associate's degree, and you and Monica came to our post-graduation. I think it was lunch or dinner.
Yeah,
you got the chance to meet Juanita and Johnny and actually talk with them in person and meet with them and such.
I mean, when we say it's brought to you, it's literally they sponsor the hotspot.
Yeah. Pretty much all the majority of this equipment that you see here, the soundboard, the 4-mic system, like the lapel feet, other than Sling Studio and some of the cameras here, but it's even our 4K camera that's Brendan shot is Kingdom branded. But pretty much the majority of this equipment, if it's not on Kingdom.com, it's either just bought regularly through B&H just because it's cheaper, or it's more instantly shipped or something like that. But pretty much about, I'd say 95% of the equipment we have here, and the other 5% is either bought on Amazon on a rebate
you
or
can't
cables.
buy it.
Yeah, any cheaper now. But special thank you to Anita and Johnny Bergeson in that regard. So sponsors are taken care of. Trying to think if there's any other important mentions on the sponsor side. I think we covered all of those. So I have bullet points, kind of. Usually I would type out a full speech or something like this, but I just have
Speech.
I've got one essentially, but I got bullet points where I'm going to try to align my thoughts and not get too emotional, because I've had to say this is the third thing I've had to say goodbye to this year. I had a Let's Play series on YouTube that I said goodbye to this year because I just couldn't manage it anymore. Had an esports league I managed for 10 years. I had to say goodbye to it this year because I couldn't manage it anymore. And then, not because I couldn't manage 8-Man Extreme anymore, but just because of the evolution. I told James last year, I think it was late October, early November, when we were just sitting in the studio prior to. I told him, I've decided that of course will finish out this year. 2021, 5 seasons will be my final season with 8-Man Extreme. And in James fashion, he said, "I bet." He just went with that.
Didn't believe it,
but he just didn't want to believe it. I almost didn't even want to believe it either. But I have to give a thank you first to Hugh Harris. I know that this year, of course, the report came out, everything that happened there. But the reason I learned about 8-Man Extreme was he shared on Facebook the interview that James did with him when he was, from the perspective as a former president of the Middle Tennessee Athletic Conference. And I think James was just looking for content and things like that. That was where I learned the name James Shannon and learned the name 8-Man Extreme. And I want to say, I want to say that was maybe late 2014 or early 2015. It was something along those lines. But it was the first time that I had learned about 8-Man Extreme, and I thought this is really, really something cool. And this is when he was just on Blog Talk Radio using a phone call and earbuds and all of that. And that was where I guess something in me started thinking ahead of maybe the next opportunity is there. So I know I don't know if Hugh's listening to the show. I'm sure it may get back to him or something like that. But Hugh, I know that over the years, every year you've had an issue with us. I know that every year we've had some sort of conflict or something that's gone along. Of course, this year we had the report and such. But I can't thank you enough for the opportunity you gave to me at Franklin Christian Academy when I was there as a student to start the broadcasting department, and just asking that question of what if we tried broadcasting our games, because I will take it with me the rest of my life that you helped me find my passion, you helped me find my calling and find what I'm destined to do, which is to be a play-by-play broadcaster. And regardless of the strife we've had over the years, regardless of the tensions or the pressures you've given on myself and James over the years, you introduced me to James unintentionally. You introduced me to broadcasting, and you asked that question that started an incredible journey for me. So regardless of everything that's happened over the years, I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I cannot thank you enough for starting me on that regard. In 2015, we started the broadcasting department for Franklin Christian Academy, and I can't remember if it was through Facebook Messenger, if you got my number somewhere, James, but it started out, we built that relationship because you were asking me for the scores of...
I think you sent me your phone number.
It was either that or I sent something like that, but I sent you scores for FCA so you could update those on the game, and we started talking and everything, and... in 2015, we talked about maybe doing a joint broadcast or something like that, which it didn't work out as well. But
our joint broadcasts have never really worked out.
We never did. Yeah, it's just over the years.
And over the years.
But the first time that I met James or interacted with him was at the state championship where FCA was against Christian Community, and at halftime, I remember I had a Bluetooth wireless headset. And I was calling the game through audio only on thecube.com, and I walked over to the other side. I was calling the game, just walking up and down the sidelines for the FCA championship game. And at halftime, I walked over. James was talking to some people. At halftime, I pulled him over and did a short interview with him on his thoughts for the game, just to get his perspectives and everything. And we talked from there. And started, building things up. We talked a little bit, and I could tell James already had that kind of spark in him of that maybe this could be somebody I could latch on to. 2016 is where it started to ramp up because James started messaging me more. He asked me if I was interested in calling some games that year, and I told him because it was my senior year, I could only commit to weeks that FCA did not have a football game, or if there were games that were on separate days than that, just because of my workload, my school schedule, and everything like that. So he found during the bye week, because 2015 you traveled around with J.D. Young, and that day J.D. couldn't make it to game in 2016. It was Lighthouse Christian School was hosting the Sacred Heart of Jesus High School Nights, and he called upon me to lead that broadcast, not knowing anything about either of the teams, just numbers to go off of. And Monica was with him and pregnant with, I believe, your second child at the time.
It was Eli, yeah.
It was Eli, and he said, I need to step aside for a few minutes. I was calling the game, and there was a stoppage either in the first quarter, at the in-between quarters or something like that. And he said, Monica is going into labor. Can I trust you to take over the rest of the broadcast? And I just said, sure. I'm not going to say no in that case, but that was my first experience of just calling a game with Amen Extreme, at least at that point. And of course, it turned out to be a pregnancy scare. But at least for James, he put his trust in me for that to call a full rest of the game with not knowing either players and just going on with that. I don't know if Block Talk still has that archived. I'm never going to go back and listen to that game. I would not.
I always thought about trying to pull up Block Talk again.
I would never. I've never trust myself going back and listening to that game. I'm just not going to do that. But not trusting myself with that. But then 2016, we had, I think it was the homecoming game for FCA, or after one of our home games. I drove from FCA, had my car parked there after the game. I drove from there straight up to Nashville. I stayed at my sister's place. James picked me up at 8 in the morning for us to go out to Knoxville and call a game for the Tennessee School for the Deaf. At the time, my brain was still kind of kickstarting, so we kind of talked on the way up there and got some food and everything. But that experience, at least going to the game and actually being in that environment, is one of the more moving experiences I've ever had.
You want to tell him what happened that day? Do you remember what happened that day? That's relevant to him?
Not specific. Oh, wait, am I thinking
That was the Hail Mary game. Y'all threw a Hail Mary, and then we threw a Hail Mary.
Whatever, James.
Yeah.
How are we looking today, though?
Bowl game is coming.
Continue. Excuse the volunteer.
No, yeah, he's the volunteer fan. That was
Good
way
luck
after.
at the Outback Bowl.
No, but
listen, the good old days with Josh Dobbs. All right.
That was one of the more moving experiences in my broadcasting career, because I was for the first time submerged in an environment that I had never been in before, which was surrounded by environment at Tennessee School for the Deaf. I'd never been around a crowd of those who were deaf or hearing impaired or anything like that, and that at the age of 17 was so moving and so humbling to call a game, broadcast that, give the kids exposure for both Tennessee and Georgia School for the Deaf. I remember the first half took 2 hours because of the amount of injuries and stoppages, and then the second half took like 30 minutes or less because of a running clock. But the way there and the way back, James and I just had philosophical discussions, not just about life, but broadcasting goals and those kind of things. And that's the moment I knew that James Shannon was the person that I needed to surround myself with, and was the person that I needed to go forward with in some capacity. And of course, it helped with him honking his horn down the interstate when they got that Hail Mary and such. He looked at me. He went, "That's ball game." He gave that look of expression, like, and just going down Interstate 40
In the old Red Rocket.
In the Red Rocket that later got shattered by a deer. Destroyed. Yeah, but anyways, no, 2016. That was where I knew I had to be surrounded by him. So the football season was over, and then James, that was at the time where he did off-season shows, like I think starting in February or in March. where or maybe even April, where he started doing weekly shows way too early, leading up to the season, and tried to find content. So I remember hosting some of those shows, and I was watching the Preds playoff run actually during several of those shows, and I just remember those very fondly going into 2017. I also remember getting kicked out of my first meeting. That was at the scheduling meeting in 2017, and they said because you're still an active student at FCA, we feel the members might feel uncomfortable with you being there. So the president booted me out. The 2017, the plan was the plan was originally to go back to FCA. I asked him if I could be the director of broadcasting. Hugh Harris off the bat said internship. And then James was just pulling me, trying to get me to go towards him because J.D. Young couldn't come back. And to backtrack a little bit, trusted me with the first All-Star game too. Right. That was part of the other conversations. Was in 2016. You
needed a play-by-play guy. Yeah, it was the first guy that came into mind.
Yeah,
that's what a deer did to the Red Rocket.
Yeah, we were in the car.
That's what a deer did to the Red Rocket.
Yeah, we were in the car when that happened, coming back from Fayetteville. That's in 2018. But yeah, he trusted me to call that first All-Star game. I got in the booth with Isaiah Austin, who we had never even interacted with each other, called a game together, and I kind of scared him off when I started out the broadcast saying, Coldplay sang about a sky full of stars. We have a field full of stars.
Got away from doing that.
Yeah, and Isaiah got more scared. He was like, I don't know what to.
What did I just sign up for?
When then we got into the game and everything, but no, you trusted me at the age of 17 to call the All-Star game and go out there, and that was that was one of the more humbling situations. 2017, Hugh Harris said internship off the bat, and I talked with people in my inner circle and talked with family and friends, and they told me Columbia State is going to pay you to call their basketball games. It makes no sense for you to stay behind unless you get paid, and I made the decision from that point that if I was going to be doing it for free, it needed to at least be a next step up. And so 2017, I made the commitment to James, and James has talked about the story all along. I tried showing James in July that Blog Talk Radio's audio was not as good as a USB mic on a laptop with YouTube, and he just could not hear the difference.
I get very entrenched in my ways.
If he had called my bluff, I would have absolutely walked away because I didn't think the threat was actually going to work. When I told him on the phone, I said YouTube is the better route. It's going to help you more in the long run with everything you're trying to do. If you do not step away from YouTube, I need to step away because you're living in the past. So I said that to him. You could at least warn me when you're untangling your headset, man. There we go. So 2017, I made that decision, and I told Hugh Harris, I'm sorry, but Columbia State is paying me, and I'm going forward with 8-Man Extreme, and I guess that's what started the harsh way that he's treated myself and James over the years. But there are positive and negative consequences in life. But 2017, I met Trent Legate. He came to the studio up at the MDI Construction Studios for the 2017 shows. And we used Discord, had 3 different laptops, which, we have those right here. Some things never change. 3 different laptops, plugged in mics and like earbuds and things like that. And the audio, I listened back. The echo was so bad. It was so bad back then. But Trent and I went to Swanee about 5 times. We traveled. We grinded throughout the year. That was also the first time I told James we are not doing 2 games in the same day ever again, because that was when we were at Swanee at 3 o'clock. The referee added 5 minutes to the third quarter, which I'll never know why that happened. And then we covered the second half of the Webb School and Franklin Classical over there.
But you did end up doing 2 games in one day again.
When I ended up, yes, but the difference is we at least knew that it wouldn't be like delayed halfway and then going 45 minutes. But you're right, there's been several times I've done 2 games in one day, and
now we did 4.
Technically 4, 2 as producer, 2 as play-by-play. So at least for 2017, I want to say a special thank you to Trent Legate, because that was, of course, my first time actually. Because with FCA, I had a few times where I had a camera operator and I'd get his or her opinions on the broadcast we were doing, but most of the time I was just talking alone. I was talking to the audience and not with the audience or with somebody else next to me the majority of the time. And I said, let me think about it in terms of when James asked about me to just do the games by myself. And I am so thankful for you, Trent Legate, for 2017 making that commitment. I know that you stepped away in 2018, like because of college, maybe because you didn't get along with either of us. None of us ever knew the reason for why you stepped away, but the amount of appreciation that I have for you, and I know that James reflected that sentiment at the end of 2017 and has reflected many times, but the appreciation I had for you, the conversations we had, the trips we took to and from so many different places and everything. I appreciate you teaching me first how to try to bring out the best of my color analysts and to just make it a conversation between us two. I know how difficult that was as well with a handheld microphone instead of the headsets, but I have such a deep appreciation for you in that first year, and not only trusting in me, but putting your faith and confidence in James for us, especially to do the right thing. And in 2017, when the coin toss situation happened, James and we were arguing in the group chat. He wanted to address it on the show. He wanted to go to essentially bash the league for making a stupid decision on a coin flip. And I remember telling him, I said, we're not going to talk about it, and if you do, I'm going to mute your microphone. And he clarified to me on Sunday, I still was against it, but he told me at the end of the day, our job is to call out the right thing. Our job is to call it the right thing and do right by the players. And that was before I took actual journalism classes at MTSU, but even from just a life standpoint, it's since that moment I recognized my job was to do the right thing and call out the right thing. It wasn't about trying to keep league relations. It was about trying to do the right thing and make sure that parents, kids, players, and everyone are aware, and that the ones who are making decisions in authority are held accountable. But 2017 was the most difficult, one of the most difficult years in terms of the conflicts James and I had. But we recognized the work ethic we had. We recognized the steps we had to take, the things we had to do, and we pushed on. And we got to call a state championship at the end, which is still the best state championship that that I think I've called to this day. Because I've called a CFA game because all the rest of the
2017 was pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a high bar.
Imagine if we had the equipment now that we had in 2017. It would have been so incredible, especially at the web school and everything. It would have been a lot of fun.
Been a lot of fun.
But 2018 off season. Finally, both James and I chilled out. We recognized our differences, our struggles, and we started working better together. We still had more arguments than we have this year, but we started working things out. And then Isaiah Austin came on board, and he was fresh out of high school. Of course, I had called another game with him, the semifinal with the web school in South Haven. We called that matchup. And we also called both of the All-Star games, so we had experience, and he was fully submerged. And of course, him and Cole Warren had called into the show in 2017 over the summer when they were in high school too. We did, you talk about him trusting in me in high school. He trusted in those two as well while they were actively seniors to come on the show. But Isaiah and I had so many amazing conversations getting to and from broadcasts. Isaiah, you just have such an in-depth knowledge of football. And you made me look so much better than I could ever take credit for.
There's a reason he's coaching.
Yeah, there's a reason you're coaching right now, even as young as you are. There's a reason you're at the helm of a head coaching program. I wish we could have had you join us in Florida, or I wish you could have had you join us in more games throughout the seasons and such. But even going into 2019, when you joined us at that state championship and in the Ezel Harding Riverside playoff game that you and I got to call, it was. I enjoyed every second that I was in the booth with you. It felt like I truly felt like I was Jim Nantz calling a game along with Tony Romo. It just felt like such a great conversation every time. It felt so incredible, and I cannot thank you enough for bringing out the best in me and for highlighting the best of the players throughout Extreme Talk and throughout the season and everything. And then 2018 is when we got this mixer. 2018 is when we had the handheld mic systems and started upgrading our equipment. We recognized that it was time to step up the game and start investing more up in the production quality for the players and everything. And 2018 was very, very fun with the travel and everything we had integrated. And then 2019, James and I traveled ourselves. We did the games by ourselves because Isaiah stepped aside to go to a assistant coaching position with Frank Classical. We tried to get color analysts for the rest of 2019, and we just didn't have people who were committed or had the same drive as us. Either that or they just didn't mesh well with us. We never knew the reasons, but we tried to get other people. But James and I,
Someone not meshing with us?
maybe,
Imagine that.
But 2019, we put our heads down. We had JD Young managing the website stuff, and was a tiebreaker anytime we had disagreements. And we called games together. There were some conflicts. There were some issues that came along the way. But 2019, we went down to Evangel for the first time, which that was such an amazing experience. And we went down to Florida for the first time. Of course, 2018, we were going to go down to Florida, but they moved the NHSA game up to Dayton because of the hurricane aftermaths and the bridge taking 2 hours to get across and everything. So I got to call my first national championship as well in the freezing cold. And 2018 was also when we got to do those first prize presentations, and that was very, very humbling to additionally feel more like the Jim Nance of 8-man football than I ever did. Get to do the in-stadium introductions and get to help share in that moment of the players and the coaches being so joyous to win the state championship, and to capture that moment live on air was so incredible. And then 2019 we did the same thing at Ezel Harding. We did that for their run and got to call that amazing overtime national championship between the Lightning and Ezel Harding. And 2019 was just as incredible with going down to Florida for the first time, and it was something special. 1 tidbit to 2018, I do need to give a thank you to Wayne Weathers for the short time he was with us, helping on the backside. He was managing the soundboard, managing the equipment side, managed the camera a little bit and such. Even for the brief time you were with us, Wayne, I appreciate the work that you did and some of the conversations we had and everything. You helped make the travel a little bit easier. 2020, I have to give a big thank you to my colleagues at MTSU, Zachary Lone and Jack Helwig, for coming on board after we did the Zoom meeting, and they came on board immediately. They were at the informational meeting. Zachary was so excited, and now he did a full season this year with the NFHS network for doing the MTN Sports Extreme Game of the Week. And from the bits and pieces I've caught, he just is excelled. He's crushed it on those, and of course, just like he crushed it in 2020. Even with calling a game with a traumatic brain injury, it takes a special person to do that. And Jack Helwig as well. When Zach was out for a month with that brain injury, Jack and I, the only two going to these games, he was running the camera, I was running PC, and we were trying to make sure the games are called right and everything. And Jack he killed it. He is one of those people who knows the backside of the camera work. He knows the depth of knowledge of football. I mean, saved James's fantasy season a few times last year. But
I miss you, bud.
But thank you to them for coming on board and making it easier. It was tough in 2020 with the lack of sponsors, of course, each of us having to pay for our own gas and meals and everything involved. But we got to go down to Florida. That long drive after the South Haven game and only getting a few hours of sleep, we were messed up calling those semifinals. Imagine if we had to do 4 games after that one. It would have been rough.
Nope.
But thank you to Zachary Lone and Jack Helwig for making it easier. And again, Zachary just making me look way better than I truly am. Same with Isaiah Austin and Trent Legate doing those same things. They're incredible people. In 2020 as well, James had to step aside. He wasn't on the road with us really at all. He stepped in for a game or two because of all the situations he had going on. And it was just, it was a great run through 2020. And got to call a few All-American games, even with the sketchiness involved with the Connors who was running it. It was still, players got another game, and I've always been incredibly humbled and privileged to be able to share in that moment over the last 5 seasons and help do justice by the players who absolutely deserve it. It's been very special with that. And then 2021, we got to this point in the 5th season. I knew coming in, I announced it earlier. And then, 2020, I stepped into that insider role in early 2020 And James texted me when I posted that about a new coach. I forget what the first post was. It was something about one new coach. And then I posted it, and James was like, "What are you doing?" Like, because I had never done that before. Because Isaiah was supposed to write articles for us, and he wasn't really communicating. And so I should have said something, but I took it upon myself to say, "Okay, James, we can't do articles now. We got to just start posting this stuff." I could have gone about it better, but
just jump into it.
But yeah, so started with that insider role of reporting the information first and giving things out, and that was also humbling to get that journalism experience as well. And then, of course, 2020, they moved back the graduation ceremonies for my bachelor's, and I had to go straight from there to White House for the state championship, and then present the prizes for the Division II game and such. So that was fun. But
hectic.
2021. Start with Audrey Green. It's I don't reflect the same exact sentiments as James, because being in the NSMA chapter at MTSU, I've been surrounded by many incredible men and women in sports media, and I've been surrounded by that environment, and know fully well that it doesn't matter what race, gender, class, wherever you come from. I look at a person. I look at personality. I look at work ethic, and I look at how hard someone works throughout. And Audrey, from the first few games where you were asking questions of how does this work, how does this get set up, how do those things, you wanted to learn, you wanted to be the best that you could be at this, and it was just so incredible throughout the season to see your work ethic just blossom, and for you to step into that producer role and that director role. And we didn't have as in-depth of conversations as I would have liked to have as a group. More Brendan and I were the ones talking in the games and such, because you mostly kept to yourself. But as a producer, you're one of the best producers and directors I've ever had, hands down. And that's why I'm gonna, even if you don't have Bob Gordon's classes at any point, I'm going to work hard to get you in that production truck, because I know you will shine. You will shine as you go through your professional career and everything. You
kept to herself early on.
Early on, she started
now
to
we
open
can't
up.
get her to stop.
Yeah,
just kidding.
But no, your work ethic behind the scenes, and again, the times where James and I had to start talking with coaches about various things and such. I never heard any legitimate complaints from you once. You always focused on me. You always put your focus on getting the equipment in, getting the equipment out, making sure everything was packed up and everything. And I cannot thank you enough for what. And I almost, because I sent a reminder email out to the NSMA chapter, I had to remember, maybe I should forward this to Audrey in case she's interested. If I didn't forward that email, we wouldn't have had you on board. It's just amazing to think of how those little tidbits in life come full circle. But I'm incredibly thankful for you, Audrey, and I know that going into 2022, sticking around with 8-Man Extreme or whatever production thing you're going to go in, you're going to be incredibly successful. So thank you for that. Brendan, I really wish you would come on sooner. I really wish you had taken the jump and come on maybe even in 2019 when we started interacting, or 2020, because I would have loved to build an even more deeper personal relationship than we have now. You talk about making you a better color analyst. You've made me look better than I can ever aspire to be. My goal is to try and bring out the best. My goal is more so partially that, but my goal is always to be. There's a quote from one of the songs from the Eagles. And oftentimes it happens that we live our lives in chains, but we never even know we have the keys. My goal is to just tell you, hey, you see these chains you're wrapped on? Look, the key's around your neck. You can unlock it and let your colors burst. That's the only thing I'll ever take credit for. But to have you come on board this year, and to give me a different rotational analyst to fill the shoes of Zachary, who the big shoes to fill in that. You were absolutely incredible, and not even that, just the amount of jokes we've cracked throughout this season, the amount of humor that we've had, and it's just been incredible. I mean, I even had such great conversations with Zachary and Trent and Isaiah and everything over the years. But it always feels nice to have conversations with people who understand sport. It felt good, especially with my first year in fantasy football, to have someone directly to talk to. Even though your picks kind of screwed me over a few times on some losses, but no, you are going to flourish when you head into the sports media world as you graduate in a few weeks' time, and I'm incredibly thankful for you, Brendan. So thank you. There are 3 coaches I specifically want to thank for the interactions that we've had over the years that have meant the most to me. I want to thank all the coaches who understand what we do, who get what we do, and don't make it difficult for us to do what we do. And I've had I could name a few coaches. I'm not going to, but I could name a few coaches that have made it difficult. But for the most part, the majority of the coaches I've interacted with, I've had great interactions with. I don't have any problems with you, and it's been special to share in your student athletes' success. But 3 coaches I want to highlight specifically: Michael Crawley. Not just for his sponsorships that he's done for us and for James over the years and everything, but for the conversations we've had about the TSIAA, about other teams, the national things, all those kind of things, and the encouragements he's given. Coach, you're one of the few people that I can confidently say going forward, I want to see what happens with your life, and I want to see the rest of your family flourish, because the character you have as a man, as a coach, as a leader in your business and everything you do, it's highly respectable, and I could not be more thankful for the interactions we've had over the years. So thank you, Tim Smith. From the first moment I interacted with you in that 2018 national championship after the game, and I believe we talked with you prior to, or maybe. I can't remember if we actually talked with him pre-game. I don't think we did, but from talking with you after the national championship, getting those interactions with you, and then just continuing from there, talking with you, the Evangel it felt so much like family anytime I interacted with anybody
100%.
from the Lightning. When we were down there, red carpet was rolled out. You always made it a point to come see us before the game and after the game, whether you won or lost, or whether we interviewed on the post game or not. Even when you guys lost to Grace Baptist at the game, we were packing up the equipment. And he came up and he said, "Appreciate you guys coming out," and always made it a point to shake our hands and everything. And even the interaction when James picked the Freedom Cowboys to win, he was like, "All right, no more barbecue. Let's go, boys." He gets them to clear the chapel and everything, but. You lead your team so well. You lead by example, and you talked about spoiled with riches or spoiled with blessings and such. It's the culture you built, not just with your players, but with everyone else around you and everything. You're one of the most respectable men I've ever met, one of the most respectable coaches I've ever met. And I do hope when I get to the point of where I can reinvest in others, because my goal has always been to reinvest in those that have invested in me. I really do hope that I'm able to reinvest in if you're still around with the Lightning program in some capacity, I do hope I can invest in Evangel, because you've invested so much into us. I want to make sure I invest in you. And that gets me as well to Hunter Wilson. We didn't cover them in 2019. We started covering them technically we started covering them this year, but we talked about them in 2020. And we covered you guys when you played the Freedom Cowboys down in Huntsville last year, and that was the first time I met you, Coach Wilson. And from there, I remember distinctly when Zachary had called you or said, "Hey, do you mind coming over? I got a gift for you." And I think it was a case of Dr. Pepper, or maybe it was something like that. I know he got a case of Dr. Pepper for Tim Smith, but I think it was either Dr. Pepper or some drink that what Coach Wilson did, and we just talked for an hour. Like he was just standing like in the lobby of our house, and all of us just talked football, life, everything like that. And even in 2021, one of the most memorable moments was when I walked up to you, Coach Wilson, right before your game against Grace Baptist, shook your hand, and was saying my last goodbyes to all the coaches and everything. And then Brendan came on the field last second. We went over to talk to Coach Ateka and have a conversation or something. You went out of your way to walk over, because you saw Brendan. You went out of your way to walk all the way across the field over to talk to Brendan pre-game. That just speaks so much to your character and who you are as a person. Coach, again, Same thing I said for Tim Smith is the same thing for you in the Ezekiel Academy family. We never got a chance to go down to a home game. James did with Matthew Bowden. Didn't get to broadcast, but I'm sure James can mention any time we've interacted with yourself or any of the players from Ezekiel Academy and all that. It's always been such a warm family experience, and I can't thank you enough for actually understanding what we do. Some other people I wanted to give a shout out to. Corey Terrell, the PA announcer we always had the pleasures of interacting with at the South Haven games. He did a few of the state championships and everything. We always had some good conversations with him. He's a great guy. Appreciate all those interactions we've had over the years. He's actually one of the first people I told, aside from James, that next year was going to be my last year and such. But he always had great insight to the game. He always had warm interactions, so thank you for that. Also want to thank Tim Pettit, who was the MTAC president back in 2018. You set the example. You set the standard, in my opinion, at least for the presidents that I directly dealt with. Scott Dorsett was incredible anytime we interacted with him, and I know James talks about him all the time.
Yeah.
But the presidents I have interacted with, you set the example of communicating, being open, transparent, and following things by the rule. So I appreciate all the interaction you've had and allowing us to being open to the door for hooking up the referees with the lapel mics, being open to the prize presentations on the field and introducing the teams in the 2018 championship, which set the standard of how we do things going forward. Appreciate you being open and honest about that and just communicating with us and being willing to listen. Because for any good leader, it's being willing to listen to the people who are serving you and being willing to understand the value of what they bring. And that's very much what you did, Tim. So I appreciate the interaction we had in 2018 and a little bit in 2019, even though you stepped aside from that president role. I appreciate that. Ronnie Perkins, 2018, I sent you an email off the cuff about hooking up your referees with a lapel mic. We talked for maybe 5 or 10 minutes about hooking up that microphone and such, and you agreed to do that. And we started interacting. I got your cell number after the coaches meeting, and from there you asked me to send you film, and we started building that personal relationship from there. It got so much better in 2019 and 2020 and 2021. The amount of phone calls every week, us talking at least 1 to 2 hours on average a week of just talking league information, officiating, which game we're going to, helping you with stats and film so your guys can perfect your craft. You, Ronnie Perkins, again, another person that I want to invest in when I get to where I want to go, because you made it so easy for us, for everyone around here with the interaction we had. Florida was amazing with you and your wife Tina, and getting you to interact with you over the years and the insight you had, being our rules analyst for pretty much every championship game as well as down in Florida. You were absolutely incredible. You always care about the rules, and you care about perfecting your craft, and you're always willing to admit when you're wrong, which is very humbling. It's very difficult to do for anybody, so appreciate all of the interactions we've had over the years. A special thank you must be given to Monica Shannon, as James mentioned, because of the because of everything that she's done. Behind the scenes, all the great interactions we've had. And I know it hasn't been easy between you and James over the years, but you've found each other so much over the years. You found each other. So, and because of that, I'm so happy that at least in this last season, I was able to interact with you, even briefly, able to get interactions with you and see your kids grow and see everything with that. And I know that James tells you all the time, but there's much love, respect, and appreciation for the work you do behind the scenes, Monica. So thank you for that. I have to thank my parents as well, Julie and Robert Tomset, from day one of telling them about interacting with 8-Man Extreme. I mean, they were skeptical at first. They were asking, how do you know James Shannon? How do you know this stuff? Just the typical questions back then. But
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But every day, my dad has tried to tune into almost every broadcast that he's available to. Whenever he's got notifications, he's tried to listen to it and watch it and everything. But my parents have always been so supportive, and lending us the business cards, letting us be here in this studio, in this conference room the last 4 years, and letting us be here on different days for so many interactions, and being willing to, just know that I'll be back at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, somehow later days, all hours of the night. You've just been so supportive, and I can't thank you enough for just being not just being my parents, but supporting me and the rest of my siblings. It's been so incredible.
It's really huge when you don't have your own office to have someone that goes, hey, anytime you guys aren't trying to be at an actual field and you need somewhere to set up your equipment, you have a spot. And to have a place that, just to come do shows and special events, it's really huge. It's been cool. And it's, there's a new place on the horizon for next season that we're getting finalized. But y'all will find out about that next year. But for 4 years, there's been one place to do this at. It's been really, really awesome to have that.
So thank you for being my parents and investing not just in me, but investing in James, because
and ipso facto investing in Audrey, and Brennan, and Zach,
Trent,
and Jack, and everybody
else. Yeah, it's been special. I would be remiss if I don't thank those who are in my friend circle, including Allie, Aaron, Brandon, Jack, Jordan, as well as Robert, and all 7 of you have pushed me to be better, not just as a broadcaster, but as a friend and everything. And those of you who tuned into my broadcast for not just these state championships for 8-Man Extreme, but also for the ESPN Plus broadcast and everything, you pushed me to be better and helped me to strive to be better every day. So thank you to all 7 of you. And the last, but certainly not least.
We can just skip this one. Let's go eat.
Last but certainly not least, there has to be a huge thank you to James Shannon. James, every season, we've always joked about, we'll argue about something next week. I'm gonna miss those arguments.
Facts, dude.
I'm gonna miss those arguments.
Which, real talk, really does happen. Once a week, there is something that we go back and forth about.
Not this year.
Well, you didn't see the group conversations.
No, we text.
Him and I text individually, or he's called me and everything. But I'm gonna.
I do call you a lot.
I'm gonna miss those arguments. I'm gonna miss the conversations, like the calls you'd have of being so excited of, hey, I heard this about this information, or I have this idea. How about we try this and all that stuff. I'm gonna miss it. We still have Gatlinburg left to look forward to and everything, but there are so many people who could just have turned away a 16, 17-year-old kid and not given them the chance in any on-air personality because of it potentially being a bad reflection of yourself. But you, at the age of 17, you put your trust in me for not just that Sacred Heart Lighthouse game, but don't try and read too much into it, man. I know you're trying to count the stuff, but
you trusted a 20-year-old dude.
I didn't remember. You were more of an adult than I was.
You trusted a 20-year-old that didn't have a whole lot going for him.
But you put your trust in me, and through all the ideas I had as well of the referee lapel mic. You may not have agreed with it at first, but you allowed it to happen. The essentially Jim Nance prize presentations on the field. You were not fully up with that.
For a long time.
You were not up with that, but you put your trust in me, and you didn't call my bluff on that on the YouTube transition, but you put your trust in me for the last 5 seasons. It gave me so much more responsibilities and more on my shoulders and you really you just have such a belief in any of the people you work with, because you know fairly well immediately off the bat who you aren't sold on and you don't trust in, but you put your trust in me the last 5 seasons, and I can't thank you enough for that. You let me into your life. You let me see everything around the many phone calls we've had of just either being defeated from the season or being worn out. Everything over the last 5 years, I would not trade for anything.
No,
it was so difficult for me to make this decision to move on for 2021. But I know that we've always taken the stance of, especially like I'm putting my money where my mouth is, where we've always said, don't volunteer for a position if you cannot fulfill it to
Yep.
the best of your ability. And I know that in 2022, I cannot fulfill the responsibilities that all of this entails to the best of my ability. So
Yep.
I want to make sure that I do right by you and by Monica and everyone. But you put your trust in me. You allowed me to flourish. You allowed me to continue on, and I can't thank you enough for that, James. Your work ethic behind the scenes, everything that you as well do. You give me a lot of credit for that stuff. But if people saw how hard you worked behind the scenes, maybe they would actually not ban us from the playoffs. Maybe if they saw your work behind the scenes, they wouldn't be so judgmental of your hot takes. They wouldn't be so judgmental of those things for the amount of film study you do, the research you do, and everything. So I
all of our getting home at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning,
or sometimes 6:30 in the
or
morning.
6:30 in the morning. Yeah,
Just from having to work the next day. But
going to work.
you are on that top 10 list of people who will get tickets to the Super Bowl when I make it. You and Monica, because
I'm for real. Yes.
Because without you both, I have no clue where I would be. I honestly don't. I really don't know. Maybe calling Columbia State games, but I would not be where I am, and I would not have as in depth of a resume reel. So I can't thank you enough, James. So thank
sir.
you. Perfect timing for the ESPN notification.
Perfect
okay.
timing.
The last thank you I have to give is to the players, the families, and the fans that have watched over the years. The players, without you, I would not flourish. I would not be as successful as I am, because I've been fortunate enough to call your action and call the things that you have done, and I've done my best to try and do justice by the amazing moments you have had over the years, and I've appreciated those interactions. The parents as well. I remember the most fond moment I had was I was walking back last year from the locker room for the Providence Christian Lancaster game, and a parent told me that my mom is dying in the hospital right now, and she is able to watch because you guys were able to stream this game. So thank you for doing that. That's one of the more memorable moments. And seeing people from all over the world be able to watch it was more humbling that I was able to do justice by the players, but additionally be able to give families an outlet to watch.
Yep.
And also the fans. For those of you who may not be directly tied in, who are just fans of the game or watching this stuff, it's we've done this for the players first. It's always been the players first. And I'm just humbled and honored that I've been able to be a part of this experience for the last 5 years. It's been very humbling, incredible, and I can't be more thankful enough for everyone who's made it worth staying around for 5 years. It's been special. So,
Not if I can interject, not to leave anybody out, but if someone on the street asks you who are the top 5 football players you've had the pleasure of seeing, top 5 names come to your name, to your brain.
You're asking me to do this while I'm emotional.
Well,
Like
that's true.
My brain
but
is clouded.
That's true.
Top 5 best players.
Like just somebody that goes, bam, that guy.
Brandon Miner, Josh Austin, trying to think. Deuce Bragg, that's 3. Cooper Kennett, and Kadarius Price.
There you go. Those are 5 solid players, dude.
Yeah, I've seen all 5 of those. Been able to witness all that, and did I get to see Antonio Zeta as an honorable mention? Was that 2017?
Yeah, 2017.
And Antonio Zeta, who's probably going to the National Football League pretty soon. So, but I am thankful for. I do not long for anything. I am grateful for everything. And I'm thankful to all the fans, everybody who's been watching. Thankful to these amazing men and women who are in studio right now and have come through and made this so successful. Made me look so much better than I will ever aspire to be. It's been an incredible journey the last 5 years, and now I can change my bio. I'm no longer the voice of 8-Man Extreme. It's going to feel weird to take that off, but all good things must come to an end. So. That is going to wrap it up. But
this might get this show demonetized.
Oh boy!
But it's very apropos.
Okay, maybe a small sample on there where it's that.
And
I think
spit
that's
it out.
that's probably the only portion we.
If
can
there was
play.
like a highlights of Spencer Thompson, and then you have the shot of him walking out in the field from the tunnel, and it's behind him.
Oh, no.
And did it my way.
All right. Well, that's that about wraps it up. I think these three are ready to get some steak.
Zachary Lone, guys, y'all
Yeah.
having me tear up.
So thank you, Zachary. I know we haven't interacted as much this season, and I know you've probably been watching from afar and such. But I meant every word of it. You did great with the NFHS network, and loved that we got to call three last games together in July with those rising Tennessee Kentucky All Stars game. Glad we got to work that last game
play
together.
color.
He,
NFHS?
no, I'm talking about when we were in July.
I know, but what did he do?
He was the NFHS network. He was MTN Sports Game of the Week for high school football.
Was he play-by-play, though?
Color.
Or color?
He was color,
Color?
analyst.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the guy's name is
Always
Noah
crushing
Green,
it.
is what we play.
Always crushing
Always
it.
crushing it. All right. We will be back in July, or 8-Man Extreme will be back in July for Extreme Talk. But the Gatlinburg All-American Bowl games are on December 18th. And that will wrap up all the broadcasts for the 2021 season. It's once again.
So we're gonna have just under a month.
Mm-hmm.
Just under a month off.
Yep. Just under a month off until those games, and then rest of December off. So at least for you guys. But thank you.
And then in January, starting the second week of January, second Sunday.
Yep.
We will start releasing one game a week from the broadcast we've done this year.
Yep.
So that way you guys can go back and kind of relive them.
I know you guys are ready to get some steak. I know you guys are ready to pack things up and get ready to go. So it's Audrey put her head down. She's probably gonna get chicken tenders or something like that at the steakhouse. Maybe no, she'll say, "Do you guys have a classic?
Do y'all have a hamburger with
Do you
just
have a
ketchup on
hamburger
it?
with no cheese, just ketchup? Can I get a classic waffle with a side of scrambled eggs?" But all right. Well,
Can I just get some fries?
can I
With a
just get a
Coke?
double order of fries and a Coke? Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it up for 2021's regular broadcast coverage for 8-Man Extreme, which Extreme Talk for the last 4 years has been presented by GracePointe Healthcare, and in 2021, it was fueled by Fairlife Core Power Protein, financially supported in part by First Horizon, and sponsored by Crumble Cookies and Iceberg Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. For Audrey Green on the other side of the camera, for Brendan Daniel to your right, or to my right, James Shannon to my left. Also, thank you to Matthew Cruz for the brief time he was with us operating the cameras and such. I have to thank him for the brief time that he was helping us out with the camera stuff. But now all shout-outs are done. Thank you to Jerry Jr. as well for his work on the field cam throughout the year, the amount of steps he put in. And thank you to Monica Shannon, everyone, Ronnie Perkins, all the hard-working men and women that made this so successful. As is tradition, we will play the outro music fully to end 2021, and we will see you guys in 2022. I'm Spencer Thompson. Thank you for 5 years. I'm incredibly thankful, and that is going to wrap it up for Extreme Talk. We'll see you at the All-American Games in December. So that wraps it up. Thank you. See ya!